124, the official weight for Jasmine Jasudavicius.
I saw her fight at 115 pounds once at a BTC event. I think she was like 2-0 at the time, and she just absolutely starched this opponent.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, who's this girl? And all these years later, here she is in the UFC.
Yeah, 4 wins in a row for the Canadian. Ranked number 9, but in her head, she's supposed to be way ahead of that. It's going to be interesting when she's going to fight a
Thank you all for your patience. Next fighter to the scale, competing
champion
in a bantamweight prelim on ESPN Plus, Brad Katona.
Here's Brad Katona, another Patrick Cote-esque fighter who made his way back to the UFC.
Yeah.
136, the official weight for Brad Katona.
136 pounds for Superman, Brad Katona.
2-time winner of The Ultimate Fighter,
Yep.
season 27 and 31.
The only Multimate Fighter, as he calls himself in UFC history. That's hard to do, winning the Ultimate Fighter twice.
Yep.
I also noticed Jasmine, 124 pounds. You just never know what's going to happen for the title fight, and it's smart to be on championship weight just in case.
And it's good to show that you can make the championship weight too, to the organization.
All right, next athlete to the scale is a future UFC Hall of Famer, the former UFC Women's Strawweight Champion, now the number 7 ranked flyweight contender, Jessica Andrade.
No disrespect to Andrade. When they said future Hall of Famer, I was thinking Jose Aldo, but he's already in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So.
126, the official weight for Jessica Andrade.
Andrade, 126 pounds, as she faces Jasmine Jasudavicius tomorrow night.
That's her 29th UFC fight.
Unreal.
A lot of experience.
Fought in 3 divisions in the UFC.
Yep.
Started out bantamweight, worked her way down to strawweight.
Mark
and then
Ratner,
when
ladies and
entered
gentlemen.
flyweight, she has been bouncing back and forth between
All right, next
strawweight
athlete
and
to the
flyweight.
scale, competing live on pay-per-view, the former UFC Women's Flyweight Champion and now the number 1 ranked contender, Alexa Grasso.
Here comes Alexa Grasso, her first non-title fight in her last 4.
126, the official weight for the former
She is
champ,
on
Alexa
weight.
Grasso.
I'm surprised she didn't weigh in at 125 pounds. She said she was going to in the event that they needed somebody as a backup.
Yeah, she fought Shevchenko for the last 3 fights.
Yep.
It's going to be good for her to fight another one.
A win, a draw, and a loss.
Yep.
So they're still technically even.
Yeah, exactly. And she came
All right, next fighter
when
to
all the
the
Mexican
scale, one
were
half of
almost
the
champion.
featured
So
prelim
it was
live on
like a
ESPN in the
Mexican
welterweight
invasion.
division, Chuck Buffalo, Charles Radke.
There's Charles Radke, who's going to be taking on proper Mike Malott on this card. He's been an interesting person to watch this week.
171, the official weight for Chuck Buffalo, Charles Radke.
Show the birds.
Yeah, he's coming into Canada as if it's enemy territory.
Yeah.
He's been pretty vocal this week.
He won 7 of his last 8, 3-1 in the UFC. So,
And his only loss is to Carlos Praches, and we've seen how good he has been thus far in the UFC. That whole Fighting Nerds team is just on fire right now.
it's insane. Yeah. They are well coached.
All right, next
too.
fighter to the scale,
That's
making
the
his
thing.
second UFC appearance in the light heavyweight division, Navajo Sterling.
They're opening a gym somewhat near here in New Hampshire. It's just a couple hours drive. Here's Navajo Sterling. He made the trip from New Zealand for this one.
Yeah, undefeated.
205, the official weight for Navajo Sterling.
You see, being undefeated is usually a great thing, but this year it has not been. The undefeated fighters in the
Yeah.
UFC are probably batting 350 right now.
Yeah, you're
which in
right.
baseball is a good batting average, but not in MMA.
It is. It is. Only one fight under the UFC brand for Sterling. Great kickboxer. Heavy hands.
Yeah, I was actually at his Contender Series fight.
All right,
under
next
the
fighter
contract.
to the scale.
Very fun fighter to watch.
The other half of the first fight of the night, live on ESPN Plus in the bantamweight division, Beksat Almakhan.
Here's Beksat Almakhan, who had the displeasure of debuting against Umar Nurmagomedov and had a great account for himself in that fight.
136, the official weight
He
for
is on weight at
Beksat
136
Almakhan.
pounds.
Yeah.
Taking on
took
Brad
a
Katona in the first fight of the night.
He took a long time off. His last fight was in March 24. So But he's a finisher. Huh? Finished 10 of his 11 fights before 9 knockout. So it's going to be interesting against Katona, that so explosive, so fast, great footwork.
Has Katona been finished? I don't think he's very durable. So
Yep.
I don't know.
All right, next fighter to the scale, the other half of the featured prelim live on ESPN in the welterweight division, proper Mike Malott.
And here comes one of Canada's most popular fighters, proper Mike Malott. I mentioned
171, the
used to
official
fight at
weight
145
for
pounds,
Mike
if you can
Malott.
believe it.
That's insane.
I think he would agree with you on that. If you ask, maybe we'll ask him if he comes and joins us during this show.
Another finisher. 10 of his 11 fights won before. Won by
All right,
4
next
by
fighter
knockout,
to
6
the
by
scale,
submission.
competing live on
Mike
pay-per-view.
Malott,
He is the
in my
number
head, it's probably
13
the
ranked UFC
most
lightweight
well-rounded
contender,
Canadian
Benoit
right now on the
Saint-Denis.
roster.
Yeah, his only decision was his last fight against Trevin Giles. And here's Benoit Saint-Denis. Did I do okay with my French?
Oh yeah, that's good. That's not
All right.
bad.
156, the official weight for God of War, Benoit Saint-Denis.
156 for the God of War. And
This
he
is-
certainly looked like the God of War. Former soldier, like yourself.
Yeah, a little bit higher, but he was in the special force in France. But man, this fight is so important for Benoit Saint-Denis, for his future, for his you know, I want to say his legacy, you know, but
All right,
his
next fighter to
future
the
because
scale,
it's 2
competing
losses
in
in
the
a row,
light
2 big
heavyweight
knockouts.
division, Ivan Urslan.
Here comes Ivan Urslan.
.205, the official weight for Ivan Urslan.
Urslan will face Navajo Sterling to open up the late prelims, which will be airing on Sportsnet Plus and Sportsnet 360 tomorrow.
Urslan is a great striker, heavy hand, 11 first
All right,
round
next
finish.
fighter to the scale is the
on
UFC light
14
heavyweight veteran
14 win.
Iwan Kutelaba.
To answer our question from earlier, Brad Katona has never been finished, thanks to our
Yep.
producer, Dan Fernandez, for digging that up. Here's the Hulk, Iwan Kutelaba, one of Moldova's finest fighters.
205, the official weight for Iwan Kutelaba.
You know, his nickname should be All or Nothing.
All
It's
or nothing.
always like that. Kutelaba, it's always go for a war. Sometimes it's not.
All right, next athlete to the
Sometimes
scale,
it's a little bit
competing
dirty,
in a
but
prelim live on
always
ESPN
entertaining.
Plus in the
he's
middleweight
cleaned up a
division,
little bit.
A little bit, yeah, you're right,
Marc-Andre Barriault.
Here's Power Bar, former 2-division TKO champion.
Yep.
.185, the
Looks to be
official
in
weight
tremendous
for
shape.
Marc-Andre Barriault.
He has to. He's fighting for his job.
Yeah, he's lost 3 in a row. His opponent, Bruno Silva's lost 4 in a row.
2 knockouts in a row too, and the last one wasn't good.
No, it was
So, but Marc-Andre Barriault is a guy that so much resilience. He started his UFC career with 3 losses, and he came back, and you know he's very durable. He's like a blue collar, really, for the UFC.
I hope he learned a lot from that last fight
Yep.
because it seemed like he wanted to get one back. You know, he got taken down, controlled,
Yeah.
and he got a little bit over anxious, I think, about it, and got paid the price against Dustin Stoltzfus.
Yeah, but he's a brawler. He likes to go to fight. He's really good in the clinch, but sometimes times can you have to be careful about that style of fighting. It's like Kutelaba. It's all or nothing. You never know what's gonna happen when you go for toe to toe with your opponent, and his opponent tomorrow night, Bruno Silva, can knock him out. He has a lot of
But you know
power
what?
in his hand.
No disrespect to Bruno Silva. That last performance, I'm surprised he's back. That
Me
last
too.
performance was about as uninspired a
Yeah.
performance as I've seen. So it looks like we might have a little bit of a lull in the action here. Still looking to Jose Aldo, Aiemann Zahabi, Bruno Silva, Natalia Silva. We're also waiting on Daniel Santos, Willie Cat, as well as Zhang Yong Li. So those are the remaining fighters to make weight. So we've had a pretty strong wave of fighters thus far looking to make weight for the event. Anything that stand out to you so far, Pat?
No, I'm just good that they all made weight. They didn't look so drained. They look healthy. Sometimes you see fighters on the scale, they're shaking. They look like drained. They're almost dying. Now with the knowledge of everything about that, about cutting weight, guys and girls are able to cut weight on a safe way. They're healthier to do that. So that's a good thing.
What's changed? Because it seems like nutrition has really been a point for these fighters so that they optimize their performances on fight night.
I think it's just how you approach that. Before, paying for nutritionists didn't make sense because that was money out of your pocket. Now it's an investment. That's how they think now, because if you don't make weight, you're going to lose 24% of your purse. This is not good. So you're better to pay out of your pocket somebody who know what is doing about cutting weight and made weight and not losing money on your purse.
What's the most important thing you've learned in terms of weight cutting over the years? What has been, I guess, the secret sauce?
Take time. Yeah, you have to take your time. You don't want to cut 10 pounds in 30 minutes. Not gonna happen. Before, like 15 years ago, we were doing bike in the sauna, something like that, because we didn't know how to do it. But right now, it's about the knowledge, and now they're doing slowly. You go in the sauna a little bit, you get out, you take your time because it's really drastic for your body.
What was the hardest part about your diet? What was the thing that you missed the most when you had to cut down? Because you were previously a middleweight and you moved down to welterweight later in your career.
It's the sugar. It's the sugar because we still train very, very hard, and you need some carbs, you need some sugar to give you fuel to train. That's where it's important to have a nutritionist or something that knows very well what put in your body to get that fuel back and be able to train full time.
Is it just about transitioning to natural sugars like fruit and things of that nature rather than refined sugar?
Yeah, and a lot of supplementation is very important too. A lot of people, not non-athlete people think that supplementation it's bad or it's like steroids, something like that. But supplementation is very, very, very important when you are a professional athlete and when you are on diet too. It's going to compensate what you can't eat actually.
Were you when you fought your later fights? You were under the USADA banner, so it was very much about compliance, right? So when you're getting supplements, you have to make sure that they're all approved.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not the same. It's different about what we know. Even just like a syrup for coughing, you can take that because there's something inside that you can pop positive. So you have to take care of of that. But I think that when you are a professional athlete, you're responsible about what you put in your body, and the 10 substance and something like that. It's always the first excuse, but at the same time, you're responsible for that.
All right, Patrick. So let's take a look at the betting odds for this event, because we need to figure out which underdog. If people are watching, they want an underdog to back. This is the Skills to Pay the Bills segment brought to you by the Skilled Trades College. And taking a look here, I've got some of the odds here. Some underdogs, Brad Katona, Canadian underdog, plus 135. His opponent, Beksat Almakhan, minus 155. Are there any, if you look at this sheet and you look at some of these odds, is there an underdog that you think has a strong chance of winning, maybe a little bit undervalued?
But I mean, Valentina Shevchenko, she's underdog, so it's kind of crazy. I think that's I don't know. Maybe you can explain me why she's underdog, but I find that it's kind of crazy that she is.
I think it's surprising also, right?
Yeah.
But if you want me to explain why I think she's the underdog, look at how dominant Manon Fiorot has been. I don't know if she's lost a round in her UFC career. She's just got such great distance management. She's the younger fighter, albeit not that much younger. I think it's about a year and a half age difference. But typically, when you get to 35, and I know Manon is 35, but Valentina's 37, turning 38, in the lighter weight classes, it's hard to maintain that kind of excellence when you're fighting at that high level. So I think that maybe that is something that has driven the betting public to take Manon Fiorot. I don't think she opened. I think that Valentina opened as the favorite, if I'm not mistaken. So the money has come in on Manon Fiorot. Yeah,
she's 12 fights in a row, 12 wins in a row. So probably that. Maybe we think that Shevchenko, she's tired or she's getting slower or something like that. I can't see that.
The last fight certainly didn't indicate that. Yeah.
Seriously. So it's this is the one that surprises me the most.
All right, I'm going to take a look-see here because, one that really actually surprised me is Alexa Grasso. She's like a plus 200 underdog, which I think for someone who in her last 3 fights have been championship fights, I know Natalia Silva's looked fantastic so far in the UFC, but to be a 2-1 underdog in a division that's really kind of volatile. The women's divisions are very volatile when it comes to these fights. It's hard to... We see a lot of underdogs come through.
Yeah.
I think Alexa Grasso has a very good chance of winning this fight. I think her counter boxing is going to be very good to counter the kicks of Natalia Silva. I think she's going to have the better grappling of the two fighters. So I think she has more ways to win this fight.
Yeah, I think the grappling of Alexa Grasso is very underestimated. Seriously, she's really good on the ground, but she's an incredible boxer. The thing about Silva, she's undefeated in the UFC in 6 fights. So maybe that's what's on the scale right now. That it's going favor on her side. But I think it's going to be probably, I don't want to say the sleeper, but that can maybe be the best fight of the card, seriously, because they're so dynamic, they're so aggressive, so fast. I can't wait to see that fight.
3 of the fighters in the women's division that I love watching are on this card, that are like some of my favorite. Jasmine Jasudavicius is so much fun to watch. And I think Jessica Andrade, you can say the same for her. I mean, she's put on some absolute classics over the years. Malott, I love watching her distance management. I think she's just such a master at that one element of the game, probably the best I think we've ever seen in women's MMA in terms of managing distance. And then Natalia Silva just has such a diverse attack. She's been such a pleasure to watch since coming to the UFC as well. And I know Jasmine lost her fight
to Silva.
To Silva, but she also had no tape on Silva. Silva was coming from the regional scene.
You're right.
She didn't really know what to expect in that fight, so I kind of give her a little bit of a pass. But when you see the resume that Natalia Silva's racked up, it's been very impressive.
Yeah, we're talking about Jasmine against Jessica Andrade. I love Jessica Andrade. She's been, a great champion. She didn't defend her title once, but she's always there for the UFC 20. Like I said, that's her 29th UFC fight. But I don't feel that she's involved with the sport now. It's always the same thing. She's a tank. She's going forward. She's trying to take the head of the opponent out, and she's very, very aggressive. BJJ black belt, and she's good Muay Thai. But what you see for the last maybe 6 or 7 fights, it's always the same. If you see the evolution of Jasmine Jasudavicius, every fight you can see the evolution of her. So I can't wait to see that. And Jasmine just beat, the former number 1 contender on Maria Bueno Silva. So it's going to be interesting that now she's going to face a real former champion. How she's going to be against her.
Yeah, and a bad string of fights for Andrade at flyweight. I mean, she's won 2 of her last 3, but those fights were at strawweight. She's lost her last 4 flyweight fights. So it'll be interesting to see if she can bounce back against Jasmine. And do you know Jasmine's story of how she got into mixed martial arts and what age and all that? Like, it's got a great story. Yeah. So she was on. Her friend called her and said, "I'm going on a date with someone online, and I want you to come with me. Just like he'll bring a friend, and just like so you can be there." So she goes on this date, and the other guy is Chris Prickett, who's now her wrestling coach. And she starts to date Chris Prickett, and she goes to watch some MMA training. Jason Sago, former UFC fighter, is training, and she just really starts to be intrigued by the sport. And then she goes to the card in Ottawa. I don't know if you were fighting on that card. It was the Wonder Boy and
Rory.
Yeah. Wonderborn Rory. Oh, before I tell the story, we got Kyle Prepolec joining us. Oh, we can pick up from where we left off a little bit later on. Kyle, how's the roller coaster been for you, man? Because I was driving here on Monday, and I found out that you were going to get this fight. Of course, you found out on the same day. So it's been 4 or 5 days, and now here you are. You're at a UFC weigh-in. You're at the press conference yesterday. Have you been able to really soak in what's been happening, or are you just kind of along for the ride?
I'm always along for the ride, but I'm soaking it all in, embracing every moment that I can, and I'm going to make the most of it for sure.
Talk to me about that. You look very good up there. They didn't look drained at all. You look like I see in your eyes that you're there. You're there, and now the fun part starts.
Yeah, the hardest part's over. Now it's, like you said, time for the fun part, and I'm going to showcase that. I'm glad I looked good up there. So I felt good. Like, the cut wasn't so bad. Like, it's leading up to that made that easier.
And you had 1 more day.
Yeah,
because we were supposed to fight Friday.
Yeah. So if anything, I think we found a new routine.
Yeah.
And what's it like managing all of the different obligations of fight week? Because when you're on the regional scene fighting for smaller promoters, you're not doing all these interviews, you're not doing press conferences. So what's that been like for you?
Oh, it's definitely probably one of the coolest things ever, and it's very exciting for me, and I get to live this dream, so it's pretty sweet. It's the best job ever.
And exactly, I managed because you did like the press conference, you're fighting on the main card. It's kind of crazy that in 80, maybe a week, that things turns around like that.
Yeah, it just shows how crazy life is, and to be ready and embrace every single moment you get.
Yeah, it's all about opportunities, and
Yeah.
you got a big one.
Yeah, that's it, the big lottery. I got it right here.
Well, you've got a great resource in front of you here in Patrick Cote, because he's someone who, like yourself, was released from the UFC, came back, and had a great second run in the UFC. So do you have any questions for Pat on any advice that he could potentially give you for this return?
What's it like being one of the best ever?
It's good. It's
Yeah.
good. And I'm sure you will be, man. I'm sure you will be. And just enjoying and just let the crowd here is going to be with you. It's going to be, and just embrace it and enjoy, man. Enjoy. It's going to be fun. Can't wait to see you there, and using that opportunity on your favor, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Do you feel any pressure to make up for lost time? Because you were released at really the worst time to get released, right before the pandemic, when the regional scene kind of dried up and you had to take some time to recalibrate.
Between Jose Aldo and Aiemann Zahabi,
Yeah, it's everything happens for a reason. I believe, if anything, the pandemic helped rejuvenate and helped me learn more, because I was still able to train whether you're supposed to or not. I was still training and working, doing things, and learning more about myself. So,
Sorry to cut you off, Kyle. We have some
sorry.
breaking news. It
Yep.
appears that the fight between Jose Aldo and Aiemann Zahabi will be contested at 145 pounds.
Yep.
And judging by Jose Aldo, it looks like it's probably hit on his end.
Oh, for sure.
This is the reason why.
143, the official
So
weight.
Aldo,
43, and he looks
Jose Aldo.
drained.
Yeah, he does not look in a good way. So that's some breaking news. Aiemann Zahabi, Jose Aldo, main card fight. And I think that's why we were waiting on Aiemann. Usually Aimann's early to the scale.
Yeah.
Now being contested at featherweight. Very interesting turn of events here for UFC 315.
Yep.
So here we are. And I mean, an extra 10 pounds matters. I mean, the only fight that you lost on the regional scene was to Shane Campbell, the UFC veteran, 165-pound fight, fighting up. How hard is it to fight up against somebody who's bigger than you?
It's
All right, next
it's
fighter
got its
to the scale
obstacles,
is his
and
opponent, the
I know he
15th
didn't really
ranked UFC
couldn't make
bantamweight
55, and I'm like,
competing as a
if I can
featherweight
beat
here
this
tomorrow
guy
night,
and
Aiemann Zahabi.
really bring it to him, doesn't matter the weight. I know he used to fight there, but
All right, now we'll look at Aiemann Zahabi, who looks pretty disappointed. Look at the look on his face. I don't think that he's thrilled about what's going down here. He'll probably be like in the high 130s if I had to guess. Now 142 pounds.
142,
Yeah.
the official weight for
All right,
Aiemann
so 143
Zahabi.
for Aldo, 142 for Zahabi. Fight now being contested at featherweight, the division where Jose Aldo became one of the all-time greats. All right, well, Kyle, thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah.
Really appreciate
Yeah,
this.
thank you.
And
Yeah,
best of
thank
luck
you.
with this crazy opportunity that you've been afforded, and all the success in the world to you. 15 minutes to make life fair.
that's
Yeah,
it.
enjoy the meal.
Yeah, thank you. Have
All
a
right.
good day.
That's Kyle Prepolec.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us here on the UFC 315 weigh-in show. So why don't we react to what we just learned? Fight now being contested at featherweight,
Yeah.
Jose Aldo and Aiemann Zahabi. So again, I'm just speculating. I believe that it was likely on Jose Aldo's end.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That this is why we're at 145 pounds. How would you feel if you were in the shoes of Aiemann Zahabi?
I'm pissed first, seriously. But they had to ask the Zahabi clan if that was okay. So they will probably maybe compensate the Aiemann, something like that. But it's shocking, and you prepare for that for so many weeks, and you're ready to make weight. That's what I said. It's part of your professional life. You have to make weight, and now they agreed to do that at 145. But tomorrow night, how big Jose Aldo will be?
Well, I have somebody who
There
has
we
some
go.
experience in this department from January of last year, when you found out that Priscilla Cachoeira wanted you to fight at 135 pounds, moving up 10 pounds. So we just found out, I'm sure you heard, that Jose Aldo and Aiemann Zahabi is now at 145 pounds. It looks like some weight cutting issues. Again, I'm speculating on the Aldo side, but when you found out that news about Priscilla Cachoeira, what was your reaction to that, and how did you adjust your weight cutting in that moment?
It was heartbreaking, of course. Like, you know, for me particularly, it was before we actually got here, before the scales and everything like that. So I got a message from the matchmaker saying Priscilla's not she's not making weight. I'm like, well, let's go find out what weight she's at and let's kind of do it at that way. And then it was like back and forth, back and forth. So thankfully, I didn't have to dehydrate and cut the weight and everything like that. So we kind of figured out beforehand. But I feel for the guys here that, you know, one of the guys made weight and the other one didn't. That's unfair. And
because at the end of the day, you don't want to lose your fight.
No,
you want to fight.
You're here.
Especially in Montreal, like. You know, that it sucks because, you know, making weight is, you know, the most important, not the most important part, but it's a very important part.
Exactly.
And I feel for him. Breaks my heart.
As much as I want to hear from Aiemann, I'm curious to hear from Faraz, because Faraz does not like surprises.
No,
He's probably angry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Very angry.
Very angry.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about your fight, Jessica Andrade, former champion. Sometimes your icons become your rivals.
Yeah.
And that's what it is in this situation.
Yeah, no, definitely, that's what it is, and looking forward. This is my first time seeing her, and so looking forward to like getting on the scale and actually looking into her eyes and seeing what's behind them.
You talk to her at all? I know that there's a bit of a language barrier.
No, I haven't spoken to her yet, but looking forward to seeing her.
Actually, you look pretty good on the scale. The weight cut was okay. Was
yeah,
good.
the weight cut was good. I kind of came in a little bit lighter than I thought, which, you know, whatever.
okay.
But
Yeah.
I must have drifted a little bit more than I thought overnight, and I feel good. Weight cut went well, thankfully.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask if that was by design, because you were the only fighter at 125 pounds that made championship weight outside of the championship fight, and you just never know.
Just in case, you gotta always make sure. Just in case.
Do you feel you're gonna have advantage about, you know, the weight you know, how big you are for 135? You know, if you compare yourself to Jessica Andrade, she's short, she's a little bit bulky, and she's going forward. But you know, if you try to wrestle with her, you know, the weight's gonna be a big factor.
Yeah, I agree. Like weight and leverage, right? I feel like I saw a thing that you got to be a truck to take her down. I can be that truck.
You'll also have a massive reach advantage. I think you have a 69-inch reach. She's got a 61-inch reach. You're quite a bit taller. Are you going to use that to your advantage and try to maintain distance in this fight?
Of course. You know, I have a natural advantage. Why would I not take advantage of that advantage?
Well, it's great to have you, Jazz. It's a fantastic event here, UFC 315. Nice to see so many Canadians on the card. I think every Canadian's made weight so far. We were waiting on Aiemann Zahabi, and I think we know why now. But I appreciate you joining us, and thank you so much. We're looking forward to seeing you do your thing on Saturday.
Guys, can't wait. Hello, Montreal. Thank you.
All right. Always upbeat, even after having to cut weight. Jasmine Jasudavicius, always appreciate her time joining us here. And great to pick her brain, because she was in this very same situation as Aiemann Zahabi was back in January.
And she's just cutting weight, and she's coming here. She looks happy. She's in a good mood. That's impressed me, seriously, because, you know, a lot of time, you know, their fighters are, you know, grumpy. They don't want to talk to anybody. It's hard to make weight. But right now, going here and doing an interview right after cutting weight, it's good. That showed that, you know, they did that pretty well, you know, on the right way.
Yeah, absolutely, and I've just loved watching her growth in the sport. So why don't I continue telling the story of how she got here? So she ends up, again, seeing Jason Sago train and goes to that card in Ottawa that I mentioned, and she says to her friend next to her, I'm going to fight in the UFC one day. She just started training, like barely, and she's in her late 20s at this point in time, so she's a late comer to the sport. And her friend says, if you ever fight in the UFC, I'll get a tattoo of your face on my ass. And I don't know if that tattoo has been.
We have to find it.
Yeah, procured just yet. But still, like, she goes and she trains, and she's 35 or 36. I think she's 35 now. But I mean, in terms of MMA years, and same with Bilal Muhammad, another guy that started late in his late 20s. And it's great to see, because I always say this, there's really this kind of unfair continuum in MMA, where when you're young, you have all this energy and you got all this physical ability, but the IQ is not there, in terms of, like, you learn so much about the game as you stay in it, and the maturity's not there. And I feel like when you're in your mid-30s, that's when your IQ is at the best. And then as you get older, you just don't, you're not as sharp and your body wears down. But if you're getting a late start in the game, like those two aforementioned fighters, you kind of get to take advantage of that a little bit because you are in the mental state that you need to be in. Plus, your body doesn't have the miles.
Yeah, you're right, and the choice of the opponent too is very, very important. So your coach, your manager has to work with you about getting the best opponent because when you start late, you have less time to get in the ranking, you have less time to get in title fight. So you want to pick the right opponent for you to move forward.
Well, we're still waiting on 4 fighters to weigh in. We've got Natalia Silva, Bruno Silva, Daniel Santos, and his opponent, Zhang Yang Li. Still yet to make weight. But we're pretty early in the window here, and they got a lot of time. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens there. I'm really hoping that the one that I'm a little bit concerned about is Daniel Santos took this on short notice. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of Canadians didn't get that opportunity. Like, it's a short notice fight, 145 pounds. You've got guys like Hakeem Dawodu at 145 pounds, prospects like Cody Kovanchuk, Radley De Silva. They didn't get that opportunity. And if he comes in and misses weight, I feel like that's a bad look.
Santos?
Yes.
Yeah, and
Santos.
Yeah, Santos. And his last fight was in 2023. So he didn't cut weight since a long time. So we'll see what's going to happen with him. But you know what? It's an opportunity. When the UFC calls, even if it's 2 days before the fight, you say yes. You have to take it, and you don't know what's going to happen after that.
Absolutely. He makes the trip from Brazil. Great team Shooter Box.
Yep.
Very exciting fighter. Hasn't been super active in his UFC career, but when he has been, the Willy Cat has been fun to watch. So we'll see what happens with him making the weight. And I'm very curious to speak with Aiemann Zahabi. I think that's the big story coming out of this morning.
Exactly.
With
I
that fight now being
get
contested at 145 pounds.
Yeah, I wanted to get back on that because it's not the first time that Jose Aldo had problem with making weight. We saw him at 145, even at 155 that was hard, and now he's coming. We assume that's on this side. I'm like 99% sure that it's from his side because Aiemann was already ready to make weight. He was okay with that. But the thing is, man, it's gonna be interesting. If the weight cut was hard, what's gonna happen during the fight? If Aiemann pushed the pace, and we'll see the conditioning of Jose at that time.
All right, well, looks like we have a superhero in our midst. Superman, Brad Katona joins us. He's going to be taking on Bekzat Almakhan. We actually were breaking your fight down earlier, and Patrick had mentioned that Almakhan, all of his wins have come by finish. You've never been finished. Do you think that one of the keys is to draw this fight out and take him into the deeper waters?
We take it where we take it. It's always nice having a game plan and going out there. Obviously, we want to push the pace. I would say, he has a lot of finishes. Against who? It's a different thing here in the UFC. He had a really good showing against Umar, and I'm looking to outdo that performance.
Yeah, you're gonna fight, heavy hitter, but you have a great footwork. You're fast. You're explosive. I think personally that's the key, to find the right angle to go inside.
Yeah, not to give away the game plan, but
no.
That's pretty much it. Like with any power puncher, you watch how Lerone Murphy recently with Emmett. We were watching that fight. It's like, oh, my coach has been telling me a lot about doing all that. I actually work with a boxing coach from Manchester, and so I could even see the Manchester kind of boxing style in Murphy. So it was just kind of crazy to watch. But yeah, I think it's an exciting fight. It's a good way of kicking off the card tonight on Saturday.
We're just going to take a quick break here. We're going to see. This is Ian Machado Gary stepping on the scale, weighing in as a backup. We saw the 2 championship fighters in the main event make weight in the first 3 that stepped on the scale. 2 of them were Jack Della Maddalena and
even
Muhammad.
if Jack and Bilal made weight, if something happened during the night or something like that, he's still a backup.
Absolutely.
168, the official weight.
168
for
pounds.
Ian
Wow.
Machado Gary.
That's not just championship weight. And you know what I said to him when I saw him on Tuesday? You look trim. You look like we're like 180 pounds. He's like, yeah, I'm just keeping in good shape for this opportunity. So good for him. He makes the weight. Back to you, Brad. 2-2 since your return to the UFC. You fought some really tough fighters, including a previously undefeated John Matsumoto. What have you learned from your return to the UFC and the second stint? What are some things that you look to improve upon and things that you're happy with?
I'm quite happy with a lot of my performances, but we're so close. We're so close. Like, you look at the 2 fights that I did lose. We're not losing by a landslide. Matsumoto just fought Rob Font, and again, split decision. You could argue Matsumoto. You could argue I beat Matsumoto. So Where does that put me in the MMA math? But
In the rankings.
in the rankings, right? And that's how that's the crazy part about the bantamweight division, especially, and it's so it's exciting being a part of it. But really, if you're looking at those, we just need one or two moments, and those moments just a little larger. In all those fights, I'm hurting these guys. Matsumoto, I had him hurt in round 1, couldn't put him away. So it's just making those moments a little bit larger and taking advantage of them. And that's what we've been working. And same thing since the last stint. That's what we've been working. Those fights, I wasn't getting blown out of the water either. I know how good I am. My coaches know how good I am, and it's just a matter of just making those moments just a little bit larger in there.
It's 10 years that the UFC didn't come to Montreal, and we all know that the crowd is very loud. The arena is it's crazy fighting there. What does that mean to you that they put you on that important card? That like 10 years of waiting is coming back here.
I'm very lucky. I'm not just going to say very fortunate. I'm very lucky to get actually the call to be on this card, and it just worked out perfect. The timing, everything. Since the last fight, I had a very busy 2024. Now this is my first fight of 2025, and I feel like we've had a very good 5-6 months since the last fight to really build into, let's just say what every fighter says the best camp to date. But to be on a big card, and to be on, I was disappointed I missed out on Edmonton. I think they collapsed over the barricade when Malott came out, so we're expecting some rowdy Canucks in there.
Well, that one was in Vancouver. I'll correct you.
Well, was it?
That was in
Okay.
Vancouver. I'll correct you.
Okay. Well, I was watching on TV either way.
There's one city that the UFC hasn't been back to for a while, a major city in Canada, and that's Winnipeg.
Yes.
So is that a bucket list for you, is to fight in your home city of Winnipeg?
Honestly, I never even thought of it. If it happened,
You've never thought about that?
like that was years ago, and they've been twice. So like, obviously you hope, but I wish that would be truly amazing. And hopefully, if I do my job out there and if I put on a performance, like I said, Umar couldn't finish him, but we've been working on some things. So a performance like that, and then who knows what the future holds.
You look pretty good on the scale. How the weight cut was?
It was actually quite good. We were trending just a little bit lighter than usual, but again, I'd be checking with Charles, the UFC Performance Institute nutritionist, and he's like, okay, you're trending about average. Every day it was about average. And so that was kind of the joke, and the weight cut felt about average, which that's always nice when it's expected. Expected suffering isn't the worst. It's when it's that little bit more that makes all the difference. It's very, very different going from like a 7 out of 10 to a 8 or a 9.
Last one for you.
Yes.
You talk about that a little bit more, and you talk about how close these fights were for you. When you go back and watch those fights, do you ever think to yourself, man, I just thought a little bit, if I would have just given a little bit more? And you have to maintain your energy systems for 3 rounds, and it's a lot easier said than done. But do you ever feel like I had a little bit more to give, and if I just gave that little bit more, I could have gotten the win? Is that something that you hang on to in these fights ever?
Honestly, no. It's not about pushing more, because I always feel like I'm getting pretty close to emptying the tank out there. But I feel like there's sometimes where my decision making could have been a little bit better. I could have in the Matsumoto fight, maybe because I had the success with the elbow in round 1, I didn't mix it up in round 2 soon enough. And if I did, I would have gotten the takedown. Hey, if he didn't grab the cage in round 3, I would have got the takedown too. But no, we're not salty about that. It's really those little decision-making things. Well, round 2, like my coaches told me, I was there. I was hitting him, and I was right there for him to fire back. And so that became his strategy and what his corner was probably picking up on. And if we would have just made that clear-headed decision of maybe mixing it up sooner, that's something George always did so well. I think we could have made that fight a lot easier than it had to be.
All right, Brad, always a pleasure having you here with us.
Thank
One
you.
of the sharpest minds in MMA, and appreciate your time. Best of luck tomorrow.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks,
he
guys.
opens up the card against Bekzat Almakhan tomorrow. He is Superman, Brad Katona. And
Yep.
He really does look like Clark Kent, like this guy gets dressed in
Yeah,
the phone booth
you're
and goes
right.
out and fights.
You're
and then
ta-
fights in the phone booth during the fight.
Yeah, the last question you're talking about, if he was thinking that maybe pushing more will put you in a winning position. The thing is, inside the cage, inside the octagon, you don't have to think. It's a second of taking a decision. It's going so fast. So yeah, sometimes you're gonna rewatch the fight. Sometimes you're gonna rewatch, the win or the loss. You're gonna have maybe some regret or something like that. Say, oh, I should do that. I should do that. But it's easy to say after. But because if you watch fight on TV and you think, oh, it's going so fast, I'm telling you, when you're inside the cage, it's going 10 times faster than that. So it's easy after. Even for the fighters who's watching their fight, they said, oh, why I did that. But in the moment, it's really hard just to think about, did I take the right decision? No, you just do it.
Yeah, you're almost an autopilot out there, right?
Oh, yeah, you have to. You have to.
But I can't imagine what it must feel like to lose a decision and then feel like, oh, I had a little bit more in the tank. I wish I would have just pushed that a little bit more at the end of the round.
That's the worst feeling, seriously, because when you finish a fight, you lose by decision, and you still have a lot of energy. You're going back to the locker room and say, man, I can do another round. I can do 2 more rounds. You're like, man, I should go. Maybe I push a little bit harder in the last round just to be sure that I'm not going to let the decision going in the hand of the judges. We still have some weird decision from judges sometimes. So, but nobody want to go in decision. That's the thing. It's, oh, this guy is going all the time in decision. Oh, this guy is not pushing. There's no. I don't know any fighter who say that, oh, I'm going to fight for a decision. That's not happening. We always try to finish fight, but sometimes, hey, it happened. There's 2 guys in the 2 girls in the octagon, and they just fight to finish fight. Exactly.
Do you think fighters know enough about how fights are scored, where like when you're in that moment, you try to do the things that the judges are looking for?
I think the fighters know. I think judges sometimes don't know. That's the thing. It's better than before. The judges have more knowledge now, but sometimes it's just a nonsense. Sometimes it's just, man, it's incredible sometimes the score they give to a round, something like that. We're like, okay, and sometimes, there's 3 judges around the octagon, and the scorecard is so different. We're like, okay, you're watching what kind of fight? We're supposed to watch the same fight, and sometimes it's way, way different from a card from a judge than the other one. So, I don't know. There's some kind of, it's better than before, but it's still not perfect.
The way I've had judges explain it to me is, it's like if you're a professor or a teacher and you're grading a math test versus an English test. Math tests, there's no nuance. You're getting the answer right. You're showing your work. English tests, there's a lot of nuance and a lot of different things that you're looking at where you're making your determinations as a teacher to give somebody a mark. And that's the way that they look at it. It's like it's almost like an English test. Like you're interpreting a lot of what's happening in there.
But talking about interpretation, if your guy push you against the cage, he's attacking. He's attacking you. But you defend takedown very well, so you're supposed to have point for that. You're supposed to have good thing for you for that. So who's winning? The guy who's attacking or the guy who's defending well? So that's where judge has to seeing and knowing what's going to happen. If you try a submission and it's almost close, but your opponent is defending well and he's get out and he escape of the submission, who's got the point? The guy who's attacking for the submission, or the guy who did the great escape? So that's a kind of the thin line that you have to make decision on the right time.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've taken a judging course before, so I can kind of answer your question. Really, defense is its own reward. That's the way the judges look at it. So keeping the fight on the feet it's to your advantage, but they don't really give you points. But they also don't really give you points for trying to take someone down or pushing someone against the cage. Those are kind of neutral positions.
Yeah, exactly.
So what they're looking for is, like, if you are trying to take someone down, if you're giving them a hammer fist to the leg, things like that, those tiny bits of damage, the judges pay more attention to that than they do.
Yeah. At the end of the day,
stifling
it's damage. They're looking for damage, but it's if the fight is just like pushing around and the guy is against the cage and is defending himself, and the other one is not able to take him down. In the eyes of judges, it's if you are against the cage, you're defending yourself. So you can't win a round if you're defending yourself, the entire 5 minutes. So that's another another case on that.
Yeah, we could talk about judging all day.
Oh yeah.
Well, instead, let's talk about the task at hand. 4 fighters still yet to make weight.
Yep.
We're waiting on Natalia Silva, Bruno Silva. Bruno Santos, Daniel Silva.
Santos, yeah.
Silvas and Santoses are
Yeah.
always messing with me because there's also a Bruno Silva and a Bruno Santos in the UFC. So we're waiting on them as well as Zhang Li.
Yep.
We will keep you posted on those. Let's talk about the main event. We've got Bilal, remember the name, Muhammad. Jack Della Maddalena in the main event, 170 pounds. Ian Machado Gary got on the scale, 168 pounds as a backup, but it looks like we're going to have the main event as scheduled. What are the keys to victory? Like, if I'm going to say this, let's do a little bit of a hypothetical here.
Yeah.
Jack Della Maddalena won the fight. How did he do it?
By control of the distance, using his jab, using his reach. He's a good boxer. He's 17 wins in a row. So it's it's confident. It's really high, and we saw that yesterday at the press conference where they did a face-off. He wasn't afraid just to put himself physically, his face in face of Bilal. I don't think he is intimidated by the champion. So if you win that fight, I think it's gonna control the fight. It's gonna control the distance. Great boxing, no kicking, just box. He has a great boxing. So I think that's the key for him.
Yeah, the one thing that's hard for me to get over when I'm looking at this fight and analyzing it is the fight that Jack had with Basil Hafez. Because I feel like Bilal Muhammad is like Basil Hafez times 2, right? Like he's does what Basil Hafez does, but way better. And Jack had so much trouble with him. Of course, I'm sure he's cleaned up that part of his game, but at the same time, something I think to watch in this fight is how much he's improved in that element in terms of stopping takedowns.
Yeah, and you know what? We'll see if Bilal is gonna say what he said. He said, you're gonna see like Canelo hands in that fight. We'll see. I don't think we're not gonna see Canelo, but we can see great hands from Bilal. But if he's in trouble, his instinct is gonna come back. He's gonna try to wrestle and he's gonna put him up. Probably he's gonna put him on his back. I hope Della Maddalena know that at one point of the fight he's gonna go on the floor. So I think you have to train with that. You have to train that thinking about that, because a lot of time I see guys like, oh, he's not going to be able to put me on the ground. So they're working about defense, but you have to work about if the worst happened. So yes, I know I'm going to go on the ground, but I'll be able to get back on my feet. So you have to think about that too, not to underestimate the skills of your opponent. But I'm sure that Bella will be able to put Della Maddalena on the ground 1, 2, 3, 4 times. I don't know. But Della Maddalena has to think about that yeah, it's going to happen. But am I prepared for that? We'll see.
I think it's been interesting to see the growth of Bilal Muhammad. What do you think he's gotten better at so much late in his career? I mean, he's the only fighter in the men's divisions, 170 pounds or lower, to win a fight as a title challenger age 35 or older. He's had this late career surge and kind of late age surge when you look at these smaller divisions. What's been the key for him? What has he improved the most at?
I think he's, he took more seriously his career, I think so, for the last 2 or 3 years. More believing in himself. And when you start to, I think, sometimes the doubt of people around you, the fans, something like that, is going to give you fuel. And I think that's exactly what happened to him. He received a lot of critique. He received a lot of, bad word about his fighting style, something like that. But it can make 2 things. It can destroy you, or it can make you a better fighter, because he can build you like a shield around you. And I think that's what happened with Bilal.
I was really impressed with what he did to Leon Edwards.
Oh, me too.
Unfortunately, I think Sean Brady made it a little bit less impressive by how much he manhandled Leon in that last fight. So it makes the win age a little bit less. But at the same time, he just was in his face the whole time, was not afraid of getting hit by a guy with the kind of accuracy and finesse of Leon Edwards, and just made it look easy.
Yeah, and Bilal is in super shape. Conditioning is not a problem with him. He can go, and it's going to be interesting because that's going to be the first 5 rounds fight for Della Maddalena. So if we go for the 4th or 5th round, we didn't see that. So it will be interesting to see how he's going to react.
So we're nearing the top of the hour. It's almost 10 a.m. Eastern local time here in Montreal, and the fighters have another hour or so to make the weight. They will not get an extra hour after that. We're waiting on just 4 fighters to make the weight. We've got Natalia Silva, we've got Bruno Silva, we've got Daniel Santos and Zhang Li. that we're still anticipating to get on the scale. Everybody else has made weight for this event. However, there's a caveat to that. The fight between Aiemann Zahabi and Jose Aldo will now be contested at 145 pounds, the weight class, of course, that Jose Aldo dominated for almost a decade. So that's the interesting thing. We're still trying to get some details on why it's going to be contested at 145 pounds. From the looks of Jose Aldo, it's looking like he was having some trouble cutting weight. We're waiting on Aiemann Zahabi, who I believe is going to be joining us soon. So that's really the story here so far.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll see. We'll see if the weight cut was hard. We'll see during the fight because Aemann's going to push the pace. But you know what? Sometimes when situation like that happen, it's going to put you in the angry mode, something like that. It's like, oh, he didn't make weight. I made a sacrifice to make weight, and it's gonna. You just wanted to finish him. Just want to push the pace, and he's gonna have to control his emotions. Gonna have to, especially with the crowd, especially against the King Rio. It's gonna be, right now it's good, but when it's gonna be inside the octagon with Jose Aldo with his aura around, now it's gonna have to take care of his own emotion.
Do you think that this benefits Jose Aldo, this fight being at 145 pounds?
For Jose?
Yeah, do you think that it helps him out, given that it's going to be contested at featherweight rather than at bantamweight?
But right now, for sure, because he couldn't make 135. So.
But in terms of the actual in-cage product, do you think that it's going to be a big advantage for him?
I don't know. Depend. Maybe before, because he know pretty well that weight class. But right now, we don't know how the weight cut went. So maybe he's drained. Maybe he's tired. Maybe we don't know. So for sure, he's gonna probably be a bigger guy tomorrow. But at the same time, we'll see if the weight cut will appear on his performance in this situation.
All right, so I have some clarity on what happened with Aiemann Zahabi from the man himself. Actually, he sent me a text saying he was at 136.8 pounds when they asked him to stop cutting. So he was 0.8 away from being on weight when they called him and said that Jose was not going to be making weight. So there you have it. That's what the situation was. Let's go to John Anik. We've got
UFC women's flyweight
a fighter,
contender
Natalia Silva, coming to the scale right now. Here's Natalia Silva.
Big smile.
It'd be hard-pressed to see Natalia Silva without a big smile outside of the cage.
126, the official weight for Natalia Silva.
Pounds. So there you go. We did get some clarification from Aiemann Zahabi himself. He was at 136.8 pounds when the UFC called him and informed him that Jose Aldo was not going to be making weight. So that's the situation, obviously, on Aldo's side. And that's tough because he was already right there.
Yep. Yeah, he was right there, and we knew it before. We knew it yesterday when we saw him at the press conference. He didn't look worried at all about making weight, and yeah, it's you are in in the sauna, you're making weight, and you are 1 pound away to make weight. It's like a finish line, and you did that for nothing. So
yeah, it's a difficult circumstance, and I think that it's pretty unprofessional to let someone know that far into their weight cut. Like, for the UFC to not be informed by Aldo's camp that he was going to have that kind of trouble, especially wanting it at 145 pounds. Like, that means the weight cuts must have been going dreadfully bad.
Exactly. I always found that, they knew before. Probably they knew last night that it's going to be impossible to make weight. Sometimes it's a strategy. It's not a good one, but sometimes it's a strategy to just to get in the head of the opponent. I'm not saying it's that, but looks like, for me, I'm sure that last night they knew it, that Jose Aldo couldn't make weight.
All right, so we have Natalia Silva at 126 pounds. I'm just going to update my ledger here, and we're waiting on Bruno Silva, Daniel Santos, and Zhang Yong Li to make weight for this particular fight card. I think it's kind of a bad sign that both Santos and Li have not made weight yet for this fight. I'm hoping that this fight will remain on the card. I don't want to put the cart before the horse here, because they still have an hour to make weight.
But Lee is a big dude. Lee is a big dude for a featherweight. He's cutting a lot of weight, so we'll see what's going to happen. And like I said, Daniel Santos, he didn't cut weight since almost 2 years. So maybe it's a bit hard for him right now.
Let's focus on the co-main event. Like you mentioned, Valentina Shevchenko, an underdog, plus 105. Manon Fiorot, minus 125 as the favorite. What do you think is the key for Valentina here? Because I think one of the things about Manon Fiorot is she's great at one thing. You know what she's going to bring to the table. You know where her strengths are. And Valentina is just a master of martial arts, is able to dissect these things very well. But if you were in her camp, what would your strategy be for her to beat someone like Manon Fiorot, who's so good at distance management?
I think speed will be a factor. Even if she's 37 years old, she's still very, very fast. In and out footwork, super explosive. But you know what? She has a great wrestling. A lot of people underestimate the wrestling of Valentina. Her ground game is really good too. Not a lot of people, but Manon Fiorot, she's a BJJ black belt too. We didn't see her on the ground yet, almost in the UFC right now. But she can fight on the ground. But I think that maybe during the fight somewhere, Valentina will clinch and try to put the fight on the ground.
Yeah, if she takes the fight to the ground, I think that's obviously her best path to victory. But it's been easier said than done because Manon Fiorot just does not let people get close.
No, that's the thing. So I think that the speed, especially the footwork, trying to cut the angle the right way to get inside. It's going to be interesting. And experience is going to be a factor too in that fight. It's a 12 title fight in a row for Valentina Shevchenko. That's insane. That's incredible.
It ties the record. Amanda Nunes has that record right now.
That's incredible. So how the pressure of title fight will be on the shoulder. How she's going to be to manage that on her shoulder, Manon Fiorot.
Yeah, and Valentina Shevchenko, undoubtedly one of the all-time greats in this sport. So it's great to see her compete once again in Canada. In fact, the first ever women's flyweight fight was in Toronto. Mm-hmm. It was between Valentina Shevchenko and Joanna Jędrzejczyk, who's with her in her camp and in Montreal now. It's nice to see that they've developed a kinship after their careers because they fought each other outside of the UFC beforehand in, I believe it was Muay Thai. And then, of course, in the UFC for the inaugural Women's Flyweight Championship. Well, sorry, I should say the second Women's Flyweight Championship bout. Do you remember the first Women's Flyweight Championship bout? I kind of think of that one as the first one, but do you remember the first one?
Of the UFC?
It's a trick question.
It's Ronda?
No, the first ever women's flyweight fight.
Oh, flyweight.
Yeah, was between Nico Montano and Roxanne Modafferi
the tough
on the
final.
Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah,
So,
Nico Montano.
I don't really necessarily consider that the first women's flyweight fight. There wasn't really a division at that point. They won the show, but
you're right.
I think of it. I think the first one in my mind is Shevchenko against Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
Yeah, and Valentina, she's so accomplished as a mixed martial artist. 17-time world champion of kickboxing and Muay Thai, BJJ black belt. We know her as a great striker, but she almost has same submission than knockout in her record. So she's amazing. That's the man.
All right. Well, we've got proper Mike Malott joining us right now.
Tell me.
I was talking to Pat earlier about how you used to fight at 145 pounds. As we're getting tangled up here. You good with knots? You good with untying knots? Yeah, with the cords if needed.
We found a way.
So I was saying to him that you used to fight at 145 pounds. And how did you manage that trick?
Oh my God, thinking about stuff like that this morning when I was getting on weight for 170, I'm like, jeez, man, this is tough enough. I can't believe I used to fight 25 pounds lighter. It's crazy.
Yeah. So what fight was it? I think it was your last fight at 45. You said to me that it was basically like you were like in a dream, like a lucid dream.
My last one at 145, I was like, I don't know if I should weigh in for this or if I should go to the hospital. Like I'm pretty cooked. So I feel fine right now. Like obviously it's not fun, but make 170 no problem. It's not a big deal.
Your opponent Chazraki looks that he's coming here in territory, enemy territory. He flipped the birds on the scales. I think he's coming here to make a statement. How do you feel about it? Do you think he's going to put a lot of pressure on you? I read at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, he always comes out hot, so I assume he's going to come out right off the bat and try and make it a fight early. So we've prepared for that. I feel confident dealing with that.
All of his antics during fight week, do they play into your psyche at all, or is it just something you ignore?
Yeah, not really. I mean, it's something you got to be aware of, right? Like, what's going to happen when I see him. All right, go through the worst case scenario type stuff. Same with weigh-ins. Okay, what happens as soon as we get in there in the cage and the octagon? Cover that stuff in your mind so you're not completely caught off guard by anything. But overall, it's like, where's my focus? My focus is on me. My focus is on my preparation. It's on making weight this morning. It's on rehydrating now. And then, all the work for tomorrow night has been done. It's not like we're going to cram in studying for this test, you know what I mean? Last minute, like the work's done. So it's just getting the car to the race.
You look very focused right now. You look like that you are on the mission. Charles Wright is going to bring in for you. But I think you're probably the most well-rounded Canadian fighter on the roster right now. And you're coming here, 10 years of waiting, fighting in Montreal. What do you expect from the crowd?
Yeah, this is going to be awesome, man. I've always wanted to fight here, like watching you guys. I've grown up watching you guys fight here, man. This is so cool. This is like, I've said it all week, if there's like one fight capital of Canada, I'd say it's probably Montreal, right? So this is pretty sweet. I think the energy in there is going to be awesome, and the Bell Center's legendary.
Yeah. Your last fight was your only decision win that you had. You're usually somebody who likes to get in and get out. So what did you learn about yourself in that last fight, being able to go to the distance and win under those circumstances?
Yeah, I just wanted to get some more ring time, more cage time, more octagon time. Take my time in there. My only setback in the UFC was, maybe I was used to finishing fights a little bit too early, and I'm like, okay, well, let's like get in there and just get more comfortable and let's have no pressure on finishing the fight. If we get the finish, that's awesome. I'm not gonna drop the guy and let him get back up. If the fight's over, the fight's over. I'll get the stoppage, but in that one, wasn't putting pressure on myself to finish the fight, but I appreciate what you said there, Patrick. I think of myself as definitely one of the most well-rounded guys out there and one of the most dangerous guys everywhere. So, I see there being several opportunities for me to finish this fight throughout the fight, especially with the guy who likes to come forward aggressively. It's like, all right, well, you're going to be walking into some stuff. You're not getting anything for free in this one. So, I see opportunities to finish the fight, but if it comes to picking the guy apart for a decision win, that's fine by me.
Last one for you. Do you feel like it's more like the finish finding you rather than you finding the finish? Is that what your mantra is kind of going into this fight?
Yeah, it kind of comes to me when that's usually when the finishes have happened for me, is when I'm not trying to force them, when I let them just arrive and I'm aware and seeing what's happening. That's normally when the finishes come to me.
All right, well, here's proper Mike Malott. Always appreciate you joining us. Get some rest, get some food in you, and we look forward to seeing you do your thing tomorrow night.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
appreciate it.
All right, proper Mike Malott joining us. Always a pleasure having him. One of the truly classy guys in this sport, following the lead of course, Georges St-Pierre and Canadians like yourself who, show up to do this in a very professional manner.
I really like what you said, because if you run after finishes, if you run after a knockout, it's not gonna happen. If you're so anxious and you try to go after the knockout of finishing, it's not gonna happen, because you're gonna get so tired, you're gonna get not connected with the reality. You're gonna think too far during the fight. So that's why he's 10 and 11, finishes. That's why he's taking what his opponent is going to give him, and Radke is going to be there. Radke is going to be right in his face, and he's very confident about it. He's able to put him away. Yeah,
well, I think that was the big takeaway from the Magny fight for him, was that he was a little bit too aggressive, and when that happens, sometimes you have this adrenaline dump, and it's just hard to come back from that.
Yeah, and the thing with the Magny is really hard to fight. He's a tall guy. He's using his reach so well, a lot of experience. This is the kind of guy you don't want to fight in your career.
Yeah, it's not always a win-win proposition.
No,
He
exactly.
was ranked at the time, but at the same time, I think that Neil Magny is a very difficult puzzle to solve. He's so long, he's so good with his range, and he's just so versatile.
And the thing is, it's hard to find a guy like that in a training camp. It's always the same thing. When you fight a guy, you try to bring some guys who's gonna, do the same kind of thing of your opponent. But finding someone that who's looked like Magny, it's very hard.
All right, well, we're gonna get a little bit of power added to this panel here. We got Power Bar Marc-André Barriault, who is, I said that in as much of a francophone way as I could in your home province.
Yes, thank you.
And we appreciate you joining us. Very, very important fight against Bruno Silva. Now, when you're preparing for a guy like this, you look at his last fight, and it looked like he did not want to be in the cage at all. Do you have to prepare for the best version of him, the blindado that we saw early on in his UFC career, where he's finishing everybody, he's aggressive, he's in the fight?
Yeah, I hope so. I know he's been battle tested just like me before. But like you said, I feel like in his last fight, we can see like sometimes he's looking for the easy way out. And for myself, I can push the pace. I want to be in there. That's my style to grind. So I hope he's gonna be ready for a hard night of fight because I'm gonna bring on. Yeah.
Yeah, Mark, it's not the first time you are in the kind of situation that your back is against the wall, and every time you are able to jump back on the winning streak. How do you prepare mentally for now? Is it the same thing than last time? What is different now that you're gonna go there and win that fight?
Yeah, just like you said, when it's time to bounce back, and I know what to do. Now I'm aware of everything, but I'm more aware of myself. So I've always been well prepared for every fight. Now it's just time to execute everything perfect. I feel like I have more wisdom right now. I'm getting older, so I feel like I can use everything for my advantage and just be the best version of myself and have fun and enjoy the process. Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to ask you about your last fight, and I've been dying to ask you about it because I feel like that is a fight where you can learn the most about yourself and improve from something like that. Tell me if I'm right about this. You wanted to get that one back. He took you down, he was controlling you, and you, at the end of the round, really wanted to do what you could to get that round back in whatever way you could to a point where you were sloppy.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yes, absolutely. And the one thing that people don't really know, it's the first kick he threw at me, he actually broke my ankle. So I had to do a whole surgery on my ankle. But during the fight, he kicked me, we went down, I was able to get up, and then I feel like I was not really myself, because maybe mentally, my body knows, okay, you're injured right now, you have to pull the trigger. So, sometimes when you play with fire, you get burned, and this is what happened in this fight. I know I kind of did a little mistake when I was trying to go too wide, and he caught me in the perfect shot, and yeah.
We know you as a very aggressive fighter. You ain't scared of anybody. You ain't scared of throwing punches with everybody. You're really good in the clinch. Your last fight, you say that maybe against Lobby, but you can change your minding. You can change your fighting style. That's who you are. Mm-hmm. That's why you're so entertaining. Did you think that sometime you have to change a little bit your approach to the fight, or it's just the way you are?
I mean, it's part of me. I'm a emotional fighter. I'm a instinct guy. I use my instinct before my technique sometimes. But I feel like I said, now I'm getting more mature, so I have to use everything in the best way. But I cannot change my own identity. So, but I can be more measured. I can be more smart. I can be more patient in there, and that's what I'm gonna bring tomorrow night.
Nice.
Yeah, I was looking out in the hallway earlier. I saw Gerald Mearshart, Onglan Song, a two-division champion outside of the UFC like yourself. That must be the best middleweight room in the world at Team Killcliff. You must get so many great looks and lots of great welterweights as well. Mm-hmm. What's it like day in and day out getting to train? I mean, I imagine you're driving in the car on the way there and you're like, oh man, this is just going to not be... you have the trailer, right, in Florida still?
Yeah, now I own 3 mobile homes. So
3 mobile homes,
yeah.
So you must be heading into the gym being like, well, what do I have in for me today?
I mean, it's a way of life with those guys for sure. It's it's a dream gym to be in, to be part of. But just like you said, every morning it's kind of a mix of emotion because I'm excited to go there, but also kind of scared because it's almost like it's time to fight like every day because it's so high level in the training room. But yeah, I feel like I'm part of the core of the team right now. It's been 4 years now since I trained there. But yeah, those guys are amazing. And every week it's like a fight week for everybody, for someone in the gym. So the energy is always through the roof, and yeah, I like that.
In fact, we just saw Reiner de Rieter, who was doing his camp with you guys, get a win over the weekend. So
I can tell you guys that I've tasted a couple knees from him during the training camp. So yeah, it's a good add to the team right now. Yeah.
I should add another 2-division champion like yourself. So congratulations on your success. We're looking forward to seeing you bounce back tomorrow at UFC 350.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. Well, and we got to see if your opponent gets on the scale.
Yes,
have you heard
hopefully,
anything?
Yeah, where is he?
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Mark.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you.
Yes, merci.
All right, Marc-André Barriault joins us. He was on weight earlier today. Let's see. Where do we got Barriault here on this list? 185 flat.
All right, yeah.
So good for him. He's always on weight, always
still waiting on Bruno.
Yeah, still waiting on Bruno.
Still waiting on Bruno.
All right. Well, we've got Aiemann Zahabi here to provide us with some clarity on The
Yes.
big news coming out of this morning that your fight is now being contested at 145 pounds.
Very
we were
awkward.
speculating that it was on Jose's end. You texted me to confirm that. So walk us through what happened.
So I was cutting my weight, and I just got into the blankets this morning, and I was at 136.8 pounds. And Firas was receiving the text and the calls that to stop cutting. Jose can't make weight. He's 145. He can't make. There's no way he's gonna make the weight. And the commission won't allow in Montreal a 5-pound weight difference. So there's no 20%. There's no 20%. We have to do a featherweight fight. Can't do a bantamweight fight. Bantamweight fight option is off the table completely. So then we gotta renegotiate, and then
Because you could say no.
you can say no. Well, fight's
Yeah.
off
Yeah, exactly.
because they have the rule of the 5-pound difference. Fight's off basically. So my brother told me, what would X do? Xavier Aloui, what would he do? He said he'd renegotiate. He'd take the fight, you know. So Xavier Aloui, big shout out. He's my spirit guy, my spirit animal. And so we negotiated with Sean Shelby, and he gave me an offer that I accepted, and the fight's on.
Good for you, man.
yeah.
Is that something that light you up more inside because of that situation?
I
feel-
was lit up.
Do you feel that it's a lack of
Yeah.
respect?
It's a lack of respect.
Yeah.
It's a lack of respect for Canada, but I don't want to talk negative about Aldo. Like in the end,
No, I'm talking about the situation.
the situation.
Yeah.
No, it is what it is, and Aldo's fought 42 times.
Uh-huh.
And I don't want to trash him because we have to respect the guys who paved the way. Like he fought at a time when people weren't making money. He fought at a time when you were fighting, and he's still in there fighting.
Yeah, but I was making weight.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. I like it that you joke about it, but I can't joke about it. But no, he paved the way for a lot of guys, and he accepted to fight me in my home city. So, I want to show him as much respect as possible. But the facts are, I have the video. I'm gonna make a post later, proving that I was 136.8 on my way to make weight. I'm very professional. That's why I like to come out with the suits. I like people to know that I take this job very seriously, and I know he takes it seriously too. It's a blunder on his end, and I'm gonna make more money, which is nice. And I don't want to fight with emotions. Because I fight the best when everything is just numb for me.
Yeah.
And the crowd means nothing, he means nothing, and I'm out there and it's me versus me, and I want to beat him.
Yeah, we were talking about that, about
Yeah.
being careful about getting too emotional about
Yeah.
that situation during the fight.
Yeah, and I listened to his interviews that he did on Wednesday, and he said he's getting paid a lot of money to go out there and perform. So whether or not he missed weight, I know he's coming to rip my head off.
Yeah.
So I got 2 daughters at home. I ain't gonna get my head ripped off on Saturday. And I'm going out there to win. I'm going out to finish him.
Yep.
The fight's the same. Everything's the same. It's just he's going to be heavier than me Saturday night for sure because he didn't make that cut. Like that 8 pounds on the rehydration, it's going to show up. It's going to be more than 8.
For sure.
It's going to be 12, 14. So we'll see.
So they wouldn't take a 140 like that was off the table.
No, because it'd be a 5-pound difference.
Okay.
I was too light. So then they told me to rehydrate, and then when I was rehydrating, I got to 142, and then I just stepped on the scale just to get it over with. Because it's frustrating a little bit, but now I'm over it. Now it's done. Like now it means
exactly.
nothing.
Yeah,
It means,
exactly.
I can't use this. There's no excuse now. Now,
Yeah, exactly.
to the world, nobody's gonna care after. I'm gonna make my post. The information is gonna come out. Thank you guys. I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to do it live on Sportsnet. And the word's gonna get out. And hopefully Montreal loves me more than they love him now.
I will say this.
Yeah,
I figured that your reaction would be like, like, it's go time. Your brother Faraz doesn't like surprises.
Yeah.
Faraz is actually here.
Faraz, bring him in.
Here. Come join us for a second because I know that
No.
one
No
of the
swear.
most important things for your camp is to make sure that everything is buttoned down. No surprises. Let's control what we can control. So when you find out that Jose is not going to make weight and it's going to be 145 pounds, what's your reaction? Because I know that Aiemann will take the fight. Like he's a fighter. You're somebody who wants to digest this and make an informed decision.
Well, it's safety first, but it's out of our control. So we made weight. We're showing up to fight. We prepared like no other camp ever. We're more prepared than ever. I don't even want to think about his weight. That's his business. That's UFC's business. Our business is to go out there and perform, and that's what we're looking to do. The facts are the facts. He made the weight. Aiemann made the weight. Jose made 144 or 143 or whatever it was. We're going to deal with it in the octagon. We're going to fight the best we can, and we're going to put on a fight. And Aldo, he's done the weight many times, and not bantamweight, but featherweight. Like I respect. I'm sure something went wrong. I respect the guy. He's a professional. He's done it many times. He's proven himself many times. So I'm not gonna dwell on it too much. But for us now, we're just gonna focus on the fight, and whatever it is, it is.
Were there any hesitations? Anything that you needed to have done in order for this to go forward?
You know, we talked. Everybody talked. Everybody had their, pros and cons. Everybody had their pros and cons. But at the end of the day, we got to take risks, and we're here, man. Montreal is here. The family's here. Their friends are here. Everybody's gathered around.
The fight is a risk.
We're under the lights now. It's time to do it.
And it's Aldo. Yeah, I mean,
it's Aldo.
Aldo.
And the opportunity is in risk. You know what I mean? The story is great because the risk is great. Now the risk is in, it was a big risk fighting Aldo because he's so good and he's such a legend. He's still fast. He still hits hard. But now that the risk is greater, the story gets even greater.
What do you do mentally knowing that the risk is greater? Like, is there anything that changes?
We'll see. I think mentally I'm going to be fine. All I have to do is stay neutral. If I stay neutral, if I don't fight with my emotions, the fight's going to go the way it was going to go anyway.
That's important to have like people around you that have so much experience too. Because you've been there, you saw almost everything in that sport, so you can't calm down the situation.
And I think that it's a very self-aware thing to do, to focus on what you can control in life, not just in fighting, in life. If you get too bogged down on things that are outside of your control, it can cripple you. So I think that your approach to this is the right mental approach for a situation like this.
I'm wondering if he's going to be emotional. He was already upset about his last fight, so I don't know if it's going to affect him.
He looked emotional during the face-off yesterday, I would say.
Really? I didn't notice that. But I felt that during his interviews on Wednesday, he seemed upset about his last performance. So he wants to make it up. So it might be good for me. I don't know. God works in mysterious ways. This might end up being the best thing for me. We'll see.
All right. Well, it's in the rearview mirror now.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow night. Always appreciate your time. Thank you, Faraz. Appreciate you. Aiemann.
Thank you, guys.
This is MMA royalty here in Canada, the Zahabi family. So appreciate them joining us and clearing the air. So Aiemann was 136.8 when he found out. Hey, Aiemann, one last thing. What time was that when you found out? 8 o'clock a.m. Okay, so an hour before weigh-ins. He had an hour to cut that last 0.8. Probably would have been no issue. That's a really tough situation to be in. But at the same time, I guess they're rolling with the punches, and that's what you do in the sport.
Yeah, I understand you don't want to trash Jose Aldo. I don't want to. I'm just talking about the situation. They text them an hour before. In my mind, they knew it before. They knew that he couldn't make weight. So maybe it's a mental game. Maybe it's just something that is trying. It's come with experience. You know how to do it. At the same time, they had to renegotiate it. They accept the fight. That's good. For sure, you're going to accept the fight. But we'll see tomorrow. The good thing is, Jose is not a great wrestler. He's not going to use his weight very much against him. So it's not going to be a real factor, the weight difference, because they're not going to play a lot of the clinch, wrestling clinch or something like that. It's not going to happen. If it's happening, it's because Aimann's going to go inside. And he said that, hey, Dvalishvili couldn't take him down. Why trying to take him down? So he's going to try to strike with him.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate Aiemann and his brother for stopping by. Awesome fight. I can't wait to see it. I'm glad the fight's still going on despite these bad circumstances. Now, we're still waiting on 3 fighters to weigh in here. Just over 40 minutes left to weigh in for Bruno Silva, Daniel Santos, and Zhang Young Lee. I'm finally getting my Silva and Santos stride right, not messing it up. So, if one of them would weigh in, it would make my life a lot easier. But that's where we're at right now. Championship fights are a go. The only major change, like we just discussed, is Aiemann Zahabi, Jose Aldo now being contested at featherweight, 145 pounds.
Actually, Bruno Silva is fighting Barriault that already made weight. And
he looks like he didn't even have to cut weight. He's just like,
fighter
he's
to
always
the
in high
scale,
spirits. Although,
competing
let's
in
go to
a
John
preliminary bout in the featherweight division, Daniel Santos.
Coming in now, Daniel Santos, Willie Cat, coming to the scale. From the great Shooter Box team.
First fight since 2023.
He was supposed to fight Davey Grant about a month ago, and that fight fell off.
147.
And he's at 147
Daniel
now.
Santos.
Daniel Santos.
Pound over.
That is 1 pound over the
1 pound over.
featherweight limit.
He does not have an hour allowance. He does have, I believe, until the end of the weigh-in window, which ends in about 40 minutes to try to make another attempt, but he will not get an hour. So that's interesting to see. And it's like I said to you earlier, it's the thing that I don't like about this is that this is a short notice opportunity where there could have been Canadian fighters that could have been afforded this opportunity to get
Oh,
to
yeah.
step in on short notice to face Zhang Li. And I imagine that they probably gave the matchmakers assurances that he was going to be on weight in order to get this opportunity. But, again, guys like Hakeem Dawodu, Cody Kavanchuk, Radley De Silva, great fighters. I mean, Dawodu's on the roster. The other guys are fighting on the regional scene and great fighters.
Yep.
Could have had this opportunity afforded to them. Of course, we also haven't seen Zhang Li make weight. So
Yeah,
we'll have
that's
to
the
see
thing
what
too.
happens
Yeah,
there. But,
but Santos has, he already fought in the UFC. They know him. He made weight before, so yes, we'll see. Maybe he's gonna come back. Maybe we don't know. It's not done yet, but he looks pretty drained. He didn't look really good on the scale right now. And for 1 pound right now, if he's already at the end of can do, maybe we're not gonna see him.
Yeah, so Aldo's situation aside, this is the only weight miss thus far.
Yep.
147 pounds. I mean, Aldo technically not classified as a weight miss because the fight got moved to a featherweight. Still a weight miss, sort of.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
at the same time, that fight is contested at featherweight between Santos and Zhang Li.
And almost every fighters look pretty good on the scale, except Santos. People maybe gonna talk about Malott. He looks tired. I think he looks more focused than he looks tired. Because he wasn't very happy or something like that. But the guy just cutting weight.
Here's
It's
my
okay.
question though about that. Why don't they ask for the box? It's a 147. It's off by 1 pound.
I don't know.
Lose the trunks and hope for the best.
Yeah, I know. There's a scale outside that is supposed to be the same weight. Maybe it's a commission thing. I don't know. We saw I don't know if it's the commission here allowed the box or something like that, but I don't think it's underwear where 1
The box
pound.
is here.
Yeah.
The box is in attendance.
Yeah, it's over there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's underwear where
Well,
weigh 1 pound.
Yeah, well, we'll see if he takes another opportunity to
Yeah.
try and make the weight. He's got about 35 minutes to do so. So we'll see how that goes. Still waiting on Bruno Silva as well as Zhang Li to get on the scale within the window as well.
Yeah, Bruno Silva it's the opponent of Marc-André Barriault. He's 4 losses in a row. He can't miss that opportunity. Seriously, if he doesn't make weight, not sure he's gonna have another opportunity maybe to fight in the UFC because he's already, like you said, you didn't think after his last fight he could have another opportunity. He has one today, tomorrow night. So he has to come on the scale.
Let's bring in one of our colleagues. We've got Benoit Baudouin from TVA. Did I get your last name right? I'm trying to do as much of a francophone accent for these names as possible.
I'll do my best in
hoping to
English
not
as
butcher
well.
it.
And we won't start speaking French with Pat.
Yeah. That's your knee-jerk reaction to being put in these situations. So tell us a little bit about what happened with Aiemann Zahabi, Jose Aldo. We had Aiemann talk about it a little bit, but we've been live here, so you've been, I'm sure, doing a lot of the grunt work.
Yeah, first reaction, I was shocked. I was worried that fight that would fall off. And we saw Aldo go in first. We saw that he was having issues with his weight cut. So, like you said on the show, we presumed it was on his side that they decided to change the division for this fight, going back to featherweight. And as he said, it's actually the case. And when what Aiemann said, he was like in 136.8.
Yeah.
He said.
Oh, he was on his way to make weight.
Yeah, he had an hour.
And
an
I
eighth
mean,
of a pound.
look, I don't think he got a lot out of it money-wise, but he didn't have a choice. The biggest opportunity of his career, like they say, it's at home. Promotion is around him a lot. So, and he's a fighter. He's a fighter, and you can see in his eyes that he wants to make him pay now.
Yeah.
But we have to be worried that size advantage is going to be on our.
Yeah, but you know what? Fighters fight. That's the thing. And like I said, Jose Aldo is not a great wrestler. He's gonna wrestle with him, and they're gonna strike. So the weight difference is not gonna be a major factor because he's not gonna use his weight, on towards Aiemann. So
But,
it's gonna be.
And you were in Salt Lake City for his last fight.
Yeah.
He was controlled against against the fence a lot, and he had a lot of trouble making weight against Batista. Aldo had so. I know it's not the style of Zahabi wrestling, but he won't be able to maybe control the way Mario Batista. If it was his game plan to try to use his wrestling, will it be as effective?
He told us that, even Valishvili couldn't take Jose Aldo down, so he said, man, I'm just going to go there and strike with him. I want to strike with Jose Aldo. I want to show him that, I can do it with Jose Aldo.
I'll say this. You mentioned the money. There's a big difference between getting a percentage of Jose Aldo's purse rather than like a Bektat Almakan's purse. I mean, it's still probably at least some significant money for Aiemann to have to take this fight.
We have to assume that. And he will have something, for sure. But maybe not as much as they wanted to. I don't know. I'm presuming. I talked to Aiemann. He don't want to get into it with me, but he said most important thing is to fight now, and to take his ranking, get in the top 10 in the division, and go from there. It's his big break. So he didn't have he didn't have a choice.
Well, the hard thing about it is if you lose this fight, nobody cares about the weight. When it
That's
comes down to it, people look back
right.
and it's a loss.
You're
And that's what makes it such a risky proposition for Aiemann to take it under these circumstances, because we know Aldo's going to be a lot bigger tomorrow. I think Aimann's never fought at 45 in the UFC.
Never.
He's
not the biggest
his natural weight
135er.
class, whereas Aldo, we saw what he did at 145 pounds. He was a wrecking machine for a decade.
Yeah.
So I think that is an interesting point. Sort of go off track. I've been told that Daniel Santos is going to try to make another attempt, thanks to our friend Carlos Contreras.
He was one pound over.
Cortez for letting us know that that's the case. So,
Bruno Silva, Barriault opponent, didn't weigh in yet.
Yeah, waiting on that.
Hopefully he's going to be on weight as well. The fight will go through anyways, but
we don't know that because the Quebec Commission won't allow it if it's a 5-pound difference.
Oh,
so we need to see
we
where
have those,
he weighs in.
Yeah.
We'll have to see.
5 pounds is a lot, though.
It is a lot, yeah. So I don't blame them for having that rule in place. Well, Benoit, thank you so much for doing this. Appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you very much, guys.
And
just to finish on the Aldo thing, I know you a long time, and you ate when fighter don't make weight.
Man. Yeah.
And I'm sure you said that on air, but this guy was cutting 30 pounds.
Almost 20 pounds.
20,
22
25
pounds. Yeah.
When you were at 170.
Yeah.
And you always made weight.
Yeah.
And you always tell me it's the most important thing, and it's so unprofessional when people don't do it.
Yeah, that's my point. That's what I think too. And like
I'm
I said,
sure you'll live it inside.
Yes. I'm kind of angry for Aiemann. I'm kind of. That's why I asked him. I said, "Is that light you up something that it wasn't on already?" That kind, because I'm pumped, man. I'm just like, man.
Yeah, me too.
But at the same time, it's Jose Aldo. It's hard to harsh against him, but it's part of the game. You have to make weight. That's the thing.
And we saw him yesterday at the press conference, all smiles. Aiemann is enjoying every moment this week. And this happens this morning. It's sort of heartbreaking for him, but he has to.
But the good thing
regroup
is,
now.
the good thing that it's so the people around him. They have so much experience that you know what, it's done.
Yeah.
We can do anything.
Be angry about it now.
Exactly.
Break a chair.
And now
do what you need to do, but then move on.
Right.
Yeah.
Rearview mirror. Look forward, and I think that's what his team is doing.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, Benoit.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Merci,
you.
Patrick.
Hey, merci beaucoup.
You can check out Benoit's great work over at TVA Sport.
Thank you, guys.
They do fantastic French language coverage of the sport, so appreciate you joining us.
Great job, guys.
Thank you. All right, that's Benoit Baudouin from TVA Sport. And
So Santos gonna come back.
Santos, it looks like he's going to come back. Just taking a look here at the clock, we got, it's 10:34 right now. So they got about 25 minutes to make the weight. Still waiting on Bruno Silva as well and Zhang Yang Li to get on the scale for this event. Otherwise, everybody else has made weight with the exception of Daniel Santos at 147 pounds, who will make another attempt reportedly.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's always a little bit nerve-wracking when we in the last 20 minutes. You're like, okay, now we'll checking who's coming in the room.
What's going on?
Exactly.
Anybody
especially,
join us?
you know what? Especially, Lee and Santos gonna fight each other. But right now I'm putting myself in Barriault situation. He's like, okay, where's my opponent? Where's this guy? I want to fight, and I want to fight at home. I want to fight in front of my fans. I made weight, and it's not fun. It's not a fun situation for Barriault right now because he's waiting about his opponent and he's worried. For sure, he's worried right now that this is if the fight's gonna happen.
Yeah, especially with this commission because, like Aiemann said, there's a 5-pound rule.
Yeah.
So if he weighs in at 191, 192, the fight's off pretty much, right?
yeah.
Like he needs to basically be under 190.
Because
within this window.
Because Marc-André Barriault already made weight.
And
So
he was 185 also. If he was 186, he could have given his opponent an extra pound, but you don't know that going in.
No, you don't know. So yeah, I can't feel. Well, I can imagine how Marc-André Barriault feel right now that. Okay, he's waiting. He's waiting for the confirmation right now.
He's always smiling. He's always upbeat, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm sure in the back of his mind, like you said, you're waiting to see what happens.
For sure. It's just a kind of not a pressure, but just something that you have in your head that it's just you can't wait that you just get rid away.
It's funny. I was looking at this card. There's a lot of fighters that were in your circumstance, that were in the UFC, got released and came back.
Yeah.
You don't usually see that many on a card.
No, you're right.
We've got, Prepolec is on this card. Brad Katona did that.
It's good because it showed that
Papelskis.
It's possible. It's possible that you can come back in the UFC. It's so hard to get in the UFC right now. There's so many fighters around the world that are so good, but if they always say the same thing. Losing in the UFC, it's not that bad. It's how you lose. The best example, that was Dan Hardy. Dan Hardy lost maybe 5 fights in a row, but he was giving a crazy show. And every time they brought him back. But that's the thing. The UFC is an entertainment business. If you go there and you fight well and you put your heart in the fight and you give an incredible show, yes, you want to win, but even if you lose like that, they're going to remember that. And that's why, that's why Brad Katona is coming back. That's why Kyle is coming back too, because they remember that the first time he accept a short notice fight too. So he knows that he's going to be there for the company.
Yeah, I mean, Brad Katona is a bit of a different circumstance. He had to earn his way back to the big show.
Right.
And Cody Gibson as well. Cody Gibson was the fighter that Brad beat in the finale, and we've seen Cody have some success in his second UFC stint. But you talk about how hard it is. Like you rarely see fighters even try to make that second attempt. A lot of guys, they fight in the UFC, they lose, they get released, and they don't fight again.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to suck it up and go back to the regional
It's
scene.
hard.
It's very difficult. And there are some really talented fighters like Dan Argueta just retired. I think he's only 29 years old.
I'm telling you something, man.
back.
I fought for the title in 2008 in front of 25,000 people in Chicago against Anderson Silva. That's a huge moment in my life. I got injured, lost 2 fights in a row. In 2010, the UFC fired me. And I had 30 years old at that time. And my first fight to trying to coming back in the UFC, that was in front of 750 people in a small town in Montreal called Blainville. 2 years before, I was fighting for the title in front of more than 20,000 people. It's hard, man. It's hard.
It's humbling.
It's very humbling. So that's why sometimes you see that those fighters those guys don't want to make that sacrifice again.
And a lot of them will be kind of lined up against these up-and-coming killers on the regional scene where, like, they need to a former UFC guy to establish their name.
Oh, yeah. You have a target in your back, in your front, on your head. You have a target everywhere.
Yeah. I do commentary for Unify. We saw, like, Eric Shelton comes in. He wins the fight, but it's still, like, it's a risk for these guys because they know that if you lose 1-2 regional fights, you might not get that call back. Even Prepolec lost to Shane Campbell, 165 pounds, mind you, but still – people look at that. People look at every little microscopic thing that they can find on your resume
for sure.
to try to either discredit you or make a reason for why you shouldn't come back.
Yeah, they want to use you to get in the big show. So they want to make their name over your name, and you don't want that.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're still waiting for Daniel Santos to try to make weight once again. Bruno Silva, Zhang Young Lee, everybody else on weight. The title fight is both of them are official. The first 4 on the scale were fighters in the title fights. So congratulations to them. Did a great job and did what they needed to do.
They all look good. We were talking about Belal, the shape, how good looking he looks. Seriously, I think he took this fight very seriously. This is his first defense, so it's the most important defense of. Even if you defend your title 6 or 7 or 8 times, like Shevchenko defended a 7-timer title on the first round, the first one, it's going to solidify you as a real champion. and that's why this fight is so important for Belal.
Absolutely. What fight are you most looking forward to from a matchup standpoint? One that I'm really kind of upset fell off was the Joel Alvarez against Benoit Saint-Denis.
Yeah,
I thought
for
that
sure.
from a matchup standpoint had the most potential to be dynamite. But what fight do you think is going to deliver the goods tomorrow?
Malott and Rakte, I think so. It's gonna be
It's kind of a can't miss.
Oh man, it's gonna be a barn burner. Seriously, it's gonna be very, very nice because Radke is gonna come. He's gonna play with the crowd too. I think he's gonna do that. He's gonna try to get that fuel from the hate of the crowd, and he's gonna try to use that. He's gonna try to shut the crowd down at the beginning of the fight, and Malott's gonna be there. And Malott I think he's gonna enjoy that kind of fight too.
I'm going to play a guessing game with you. Some odds came out on which fighter is going to get a performance bonus. So whether fight of the night, performance bonus. Which fighter do you think had the best odds of getting a performance bonus? If you had to guess.
It's hard, man, because I really like Grasso and Silva. I don't know. The thing is,
I'll tell you the favorite. What do you want to know who the favorite was? Benoit Saint-Denis.
Yeah.
He's, big favorite. I think they expect a quick finish for him. These are, again, just the odds, but at the same time, I think that's an interesting look at things.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You know what? This is for Kyle, it's an amazing opportunity. It's the best timing to fight Benoit Saint-Denis too. So he doesn't have to get nervous or get worried. He wasn't supposed to be there anyway. So you go there and you do your job, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, we did our Skill Trades College skills to pay the bills underdogs. Is there a big underdog on this card that you look at and you think this person's got a shot? That maybe they're not getting enough love on the betting lines. For me, it's Grasso. I think Grasso's she's around 2 to 1 underdog.
I'm with you too. I don't know why she's that kind of underdog. It's still
recency bias. I can tell you 100% that's
what?
why. Recency bias.
Yeah.
We saw her in her last fight. Valentina handled her.
Yeah.
And then you look at Natalia Silva, hasn't lost in the UFC.
Yeah, you're right, but she's still ranked number one. So
100%.
that's the thing too. I'm with you on that. Alexa Grasso, I like her a lot. I like her fighting style. She didn't look like a fighter. It's like, oh man, you see
Natalia Silva.
Yeah, exactly. You see both in the street, and you don't know that they can punch you, they can beat you very bad. But that's the beauty of that sport. It's you can't underestimate anybody. By how just they're looking.
Well, we've had a lot of great interviews this week at Sportsnet. You can go to sportsnet.ca/MMA/UFC to check out our interviews. We had Dana White spoke to us yesterday. A lot of the fighters on this card we've had an opportunity to speak with. Is there anything that stands out to you from the fighters that you spoke to on media day? And anything that one of the fighters said to you that kind of has stuck in your mind?
You know what? I really like the mood of Jasmine. Jasmine, she's always in a good mood. She's always enjoying fight week. She's giving a lot for the media too. You know what? And she's the best Canadian fighter since Valérie Letourneau, and we're putting a lot of hope that maybe she can be maybe the first Canadian to have the belt around her waist. I think she's a great ambassador for a female fighter in Canada. And we want her to have a great success.
Yeah, we haven't had a Canadian woman ascend to the championship just yet. We've had, I think, 3 opportunities.
3, yes.
Yeah, so we got Letourneau, Alexis Davis,
Kaufman.
Oh, not in the UFC, did she?
Oh yeah.
Oh, she fought. Okay, yeah. She fought Ronda, and then Felicia Spencer. So I guess 4.
Yes.
So we have yet to see one of them ascend to a championship, but I think Jasmine can give us some hope, because even though she's I think about 35 right now, she just keeps making those gains each and every fight out, and she's
you're
active.
right. Kaufman was in Strikeforce. That was Felicia, the other one. Yeah, there was 3.
Yeah.
But yes, I think she's well-rounded. She's aggressive. She has a great wrestling, heavy ground and pound, and it starts tomorrow. By beating a former champion that was so dominant, not as a champion but before for getting that title. It's going to give her so much confidence for the next fight.
I'm going to save you with Sarah Kaufman here, because there's something relevant about her UFC career to this event. Valentina Shevchenko, in her UFC debut, fought Sarah Kaufman. She was an underdog. She's an underdog tomorrow night. She's only been an underdog 3 times in her UFC career, 3-0 in those fights. Surprisingly, none of those underdog spots were against Nunes. She was a favorite both times she fought Nunes. She was underdog against Kaufman, underdog against Alexa in the last fight, underdog against Holly Holm, and she won all of those fights.
Yeah, but I'm telling you right now, I don't think She's worried about that.
No. Well, I mean, why be worried? She's been 3-0 as an
Yeah, no,
underdog,
exactly.
right?
But I'm not even sure if they're when you start, when you're young, that's some kind of detail that can, mess your mind a little bit because you don't know how to react, you don't know how to deal with the outside world or something like that. But at that level, she's gonna fight, in Japan, Montreal, Vegas. It doesn't care. It doesn't matter. That's the thing is, when the door is gonna close to the octagon, she's gonna perform, and I don't think that's something that it's. I don't think that's something it's worry at all.
A lot of athletes tell me they don't pay any attention to the betting lines. I don't believe them. I feel like a lot of them use it as kind of bulletin board material.
But you can't bet
locker room
anymore,
material.
so that's the thing.
Yeah, but I think that if somebody says, "Hey, you're a 2-1 underdog," people pay so much attention to it right now that I think it's hard for the fighters to ignore.
Yeah, you're right, but at the same time, it's not supposed to change the way you're gonna the fight. It's not supposed to change, the way you're gonna approach the fight.
Doesn't put a chip on your shoulder. You're not like, "Hey, these guys don't expect me to win. Let's go
I
out there
think so.
and
I
prove them
think
wrong."
when you're underdog, it's gonna give you maybe a little bit more motivation to win the fight.
Yeah. So I think fighters sometimes, there are some fighters that will use any little thing as motivation. And other fighters don't care about any external thing. They just focus on the job.
Yeah, but I think the way that you're underdog in a fight, you can take that personally, and it can give you a little bit more fire inside.
Did you ever take it personally? Was there ever a fight where you were like, "I should be favored in this fight"?
I've been almost all the time underdog, so I
So
was
you're just used to it.
used to be. Yeah, exactly.
But for someone who was an underdog for much of your career, you certainly had a lot of success.
Yeah,
so.
should bet on me.
Yeah. Back then, I guess you could have, right?
Yeah, back then.
Did you?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Extra pressure.
Extra pressure, exactly. That's the thing.
Yeah, the worst thing is now that it's such a big thing, you see people rip the fighters afterwards. "Oh, my parlay." They don't care about your parlays. Leave the fighters alone.
Exactly.
They got enough on their plate.
Oh, yeah, big time. Yeah, you don't think about that.
Well, we're still waiting. I think we've got how much time left? About 15 minutes left. It's under 15 minutes for 3 different fighters to weigh in. Bruno Silva. We've got Daniel Santos looking to make another attempt, and Zhang Yang Li, who has yet to make weight.
Man, so. I'm telling you, man. Marc-Henri Barriault is getting nervous. Oh, for sure. He's getting nervous. He's getting sweating.
He's weighing 183
He stopped cutting weight
now.
and he's still sweating.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm telling you right now, this poor guy. Seriously, it's you don't want that. You want your guy, your opponent to make weight, as fast as possible. And now he's waiting, and he's probably in good mood because he made weight, and he's putting by weight right now. But yeah, it's for sure. He's looking at that, and then you can't wait that Silva's going on the scale.
Well, tomorrow night here in Montreal, it's UFC 315. Presented by Skilled Trades College. Let's take a look at our Sportsnet Plus and Sportsnet 360 late prelim card. It kicks off with Navajo Sterling -310 favorite against Ivan Erslan, who is a +260 underdog. Any thoughts on this fight?
He's gonna be. It's too big guy. They like to throw punch. They like to throw a heavy punch. And when the fight's gonna start, those two guys gonna meet in the center of the cage, and they're gonna just swinging. And I'm telling you, the crowd here in Montreal, they're gonna respond. They're gonna be very loud for that kind of fight.
Okay, so set your alarms for 8 p.m. Eastern, because that's when that fight kicks off. Modestas Bukauskas, Ion Kutelaba, the closest lined fight on this card, I believe. Basically almost pick 'em odds, but this should be an interesting one. Modestas Bukauskas 4-1 since returning to the UFC for his second stint.
Yeah, he came back in 2023 in the UFC. A lot of knockout from Kutelaba. He's a great wrestler. He's a great mixed martial artist. But sometimes he has a lack of fighting IQ. I'm not saying that he's dumb. I'm just saying that during the fight, sometimes he's not taking the right decision at the right time because he's so emotional. So we'll see what's going to happen, but it's always fun to watch Ion Kutelaba.
Yeah, but Bukauskas is one of 2 Lithuanian fighters, him and Jasmine Jasudavicius, who is in the next fight against Jessica Andrade. Jasudavicius is a -320 favorite, big favorite over Jessica Andrade, who's +270. I think that's a really fun fight for us to have on our airwaves tomorrow.
Yeah, Jessica Andrade is a former featherweight champion. She's strong. She's a BJJ black belt. She's a short.
In a featherweight prelim.
Yeah, why don't we go over to John
Lee
Anik, who is bringing Zhang Yang Li to the scale to make an attempt here ahead of UFC 315.
$146.
Hey,
the official weight
Zhang Yang Li
for
on weight,
Zhang
146
Yang Li.
pounds, so he will await his opponent, Daniel Santos, who was 147, and who I believe is going to be making another attempt. And some of his teammates just entered, so I think that attempt is likely imminent here.
Yeah, Lee is the
315.
winner of the road to the UFC Asia.
Yeah,
He won on the featherweight division. He lost his last fight, actually. That was his first loss in the UFC.
yeah, it got finished within just over a minute against
Yep.
Hyder Emil. Hyder Emil, that guy's a fun guy to watch. Another guy that I think got a bit of a late start, but coached by Gilbert Melendez and kind of fights like Gilbert Melendez.
Oh, yeah, he's fun to watch.
So we'll wait and see if someone else is going to be coming to the scale. His shoot-the-box teammate Ian Machado-Gary is here, trains under the great Diego Lima as well. Charles Oliveira, a big part of that team.
Yeah, and Gary made weight. Both fighters on the final made weight, but never know. Something happened on, getting back the weight. They're getting sick during the night. I don't know, because it's very hard for the body cutting weight like that. Never know how the body was going to react after. So he made weight, and still until the last hour of the show, he can't beat a backup fighter.
We're still also waiting on Bruno Silva. And a note about Silva, he's been very open about his anxiety during fights and how he's battled anxiety during his most recent outings. I just hope that is not playing
weighing
a
in
factor
for a
as to
second
why
time
he's not,
in the featherweight division,
scale yet.
Daniel Santos.
Well, here comes Daniel Santos making a second attempt. His teammates are cheering for him. We got the box out. It was 147 last time. So with the box, hopefully he can hit that 146 marker, and we will have a fight on our hands. Probably will anyways, but let's see if he makes the weight.
Breathe out.
146.
146, the official weight for Daniel Santos.
All right, the Willy Cat is on weight,
Yes.
146 pounds. Him and Zhang Young Lee both hit the mark. And so I guess aside again from that Jose Aldo and Aiemann Zahabi situation, everybody now on weight.
Yep.
We're still waiting for Bruno Silva, and he will have 8 minutes to get on the scale and attempt to make weight. He's a very emotional Willy Cat, Daniel Santos, who took this fight on short notice.
Yeah, and cutting weight, it's all about emotion too. At the
Yeah.
end, it's really hard.
And
man.
I love watching this guy fight. These shoot-a-box fighters are
Yeah.
always super exciting, and Daniel Santos no exception.
And talking about Bruno Silva, talking about the anxiety. He's 4 losses in a row. Not gonna help his anxiety.
No.
And now he's the last one to make weight. Like you said, I hope that it's gonna be okay, because he's a great fighter. He's just in the UFC. He has a hard time to perform. 23 wins, 20 knockouts. He has heavy hands, and against a guy with like Barriault, can be like a great fight, and maybe a fight of the night, because they are both very aggressive. They both punch hard, but he has to make weight first.
Yeah, I mean, having anxiety is no joke in the sport. I know Tom Breeze, who trained here in Montreal a lot, had the same situation where sometimes on fight day he would get sick.
Yep.
And he would not fight because of just being overwhelmed by anxiety. So, I'm certainly not trying to make light of that at all when it comes to Bruno Silva, and I'm hoping that he's able to overcome that barrier that so many people deal with.
Yeah, but I'm telling you right now, Hiram, 2 guys in the cage punching each other, it's not normal. So anxiety, it's normal that sometimes gonna get you, and you can't cut that, not cut that, but you can't have anxiety anywhere in your career. It's not because at the beginning you don't have it, and one day something happened in the training camps, you lose hope that you're gonna make a great career on that, just by maybe a loss, a knockout, or a bad performance. You never know. So
we'll find out right now.
It's no joke.
Bruno
And here
Blindado
comes
Silva.
Bruno Silva. And Patrick, we told you not to bring your kids today, but it was just so loud here in the back.
It's not mine. Everybody know that's
Leo Machado, Gary.
Exactly.
Okay, here comes Bruno Silva, and I'm sure that, like you said, Marc-Andre Barriault waiting with bated breath. What's with stepping slowly onto the scale? I've noticed a lot of fighters do that.
Yeah, sometimes you're dizzy.
Is that what it is? Ian Machado, Gary says, praying to God. Here, come on in, Ian.
He's
He looks sunken
like,
in.
You better call the right number.
What's it, 187?
147.
No, he's not 147. I'll tell you
he's
that.
fighting 185.
That's what he just said, though. You heard that right.
Yeah.
I heard 147. Right?
If you cut his arms
God,
off,
that's
he's still on
49.
147.
Cut the leg.
All right.
I said he's 7, though.
Likely
we'll see.
187, I would guess, which would at least
Which
not
would
put
be
the fight in
only-
jeopardy.
The only logistical way to put it, but I had 47. I had a very good skill in school. I could not focus and hear everything at the same time. I definitely had 47.
Breathe out.
I mean, I can see that scale line straight from here.
Mhm.
There you go, 186.
187.
What?
The official weight for Bruno Silva. That is
Ian,
one
your
pound
hearing's off
over
today, my friend.
the
It's not straight.
middleweight limit.
All right.
Still moving.
It's
180
moving.
187 is
Look.
what they just said.
I mean, my vision's
You want to
the
try?
best in the world.
He's
That
asking.
ain't that one not straight when he's on it. I can move that a little bit more.
Yeah.
He's got 4 minutes. They should start using
He's
the
gonna
digital
try to
scales.
dry to
Bro,
getting
They
dry.
do it in New York, the digital scales. I like the digital scales better. No room for error.
that would be
Your
too-
teammate
that
Charles
would-
Oliveira would have liked to have the digital scales in
That would be-
Arizona.
That would be too easy, though,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, maybe
He's
he
not
got.
gonna be able to make weight.
Yeah, maybe.
That's it.
Was surprised if he got like 1 pound of sweat on him.
I ain't got time to do it. Stand on again, look.
By the way, if you don't recognize the Irish accent, Ian Machado Gary has joined us here to analyze this weigh-in. I'm guessing he's not 186 all of a sudden.
Nope.
No, we didn't hear that.
187, the official weight for Bruno
Okay,
Silva.
187 pounds. So
87.
at least he's within the 5-pound differential
Yes.
with Marc-Andre Barriault. So hopefully that fight takes place with
Supposed to.
some of the purse going
Yeah.
to our friend Marc-Andre Barriault.
I've trained up Mark. I reckon Mark will still take it.
How good is that room at Team Killcliff? I mean, the guy's
Good.
170, 185 pounds.
Good.
I
Very
mentioned that
good.
to Marc-Andre Barriault.
Very good. They're just a room full of killers.
Yeah.
Like you go in there every training session, it's just like, ugh. Like if you go in there a day and you're not feeling great or you're not like mentally on, like you're gonna get like thrown to the wolves.
Yeah.
Like they're some of the best guys in the world.
I was just railing off names to him because I saw Gerald Mearshart and Ongla in the hall.
Oh, dude.
Those are just guys that are standing in the
Yeah,
hallway
but
here.
they're just guys that stand in the hallway. You've got guys like Jason Jackson, Gilbert
Mm-hmm.
Burns, Vincente Luque, Kevin Lee, like Logan Storley.
All
You've
animals,
got
man.
Robbie Lawler. Like you had me on the mats. You had Shavkat on the mats. You had absolute specimens on the mat. And I'm like, Jesus Christ! All right, it's one after another, and it's high level guy with a different style, with a different style, with a different style, and a different focus. And it's just like you have to go on. Like on that mat, switched on, ready to go every single time.
And now you're at Shoot a Box, and I've seen videos of the training there where they're like, send that guy in, send that guy in. Oh, you just took that guy down, now take
You
that
have
guy
choice.
down.
You have choice. Doesn't matter.
I love showing up to shoot the box like half an hour early. I'm watching the amateurs go. Oh my! I would
Yeah.
love to like pay-per-view the amateur sparring. Like it's the most aggressive sparring
Yeah.
I've ever seen. They are earning every ounce of their respect through each other, and like some of the shit I see be pulled off, I'm like, holy. Like that's harder than I fight. Like, dude, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun to watch.
Did you see that video of Dan Hooker from this week? He was in like a factory or
But
something.
Dan Hooker just basically
No, but
puts
he was
his
doing
feet in the
commentary.
ground and
This is what you should do at Shoot the Box. That he was basically they were having these fights in like a factory, and he was doing the commentary. He's like, "All right, boys, let's go, let's."
Yeah.
And
honestly,
yeah, and they're just
it's
scrapping.
crazy. Like there's some gyms in the world, and there's some. I find with Brazilians are so internally tough. Like doesn't matter what they do, they will give everything they've got, and that's a different feeling when you know that they can put it together with some hands and some jiu-jitsu. Like you're going right, they're not stopping until someone's knocked out, whether it be them or whether it be you. Like they're just going. And I find it really inspiring because they really just go, right, God's got me. I'm going to just give away all kind of faith and just go with him. And it's crazy.
You came. You did the weight. You made weight. You came pretty.
168.
Like
Yeah, that's bullshit.
168.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I was 169.8 on the official on the scales beforehand. He called that 168. I was like, what? So I just lost two pounds?
Yeah.
Like, no, that's
That
not
makes
right.
you look even more professional.
Yeah, but look, I can tell you now I was not 168. I might have been 168 on that scales. But that one right there, I was 169.8. That's what I would have expected. About 169. I would have expected a 170 call be right,
But actually, your last fight, you knew it that you will be the backup fighter, so you kept your
yeah,
weight
I'm
low.
look, weight for me is never an issue. I'm very good. I'm very professional. I've in the approach that I come at this sport with nutrition and maintenance and just everything about it. I want to be to the dot, perfect. And yeah, look, I've told you, it's still not done. There might be a 95% decrease of chance of me showing up tomorrow night, but hey, someone can still get the shits.
Never know.
They might need me still. So
Never know.
I should add that he knew he was going to be the backup before his last fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told you, I was ready. I was ready to go. I negotiated into my contract saying if I have the opportunity to go to Canada, I will. I'll be there. I had booked my flights before the Kansas flights. I was ready. I packed going to Kansas all the way to come to here. I knew where I was going. I knew what I was doing.
So you saw. Go ahead.
You'll be cheering for Bilal Muhammad tomorrow, I imagine. You'll have your remember the name hat, the shirt, because I mean, if he wins, that's good news for you.
I think, for me, it's better that Bilal wins. Realistically, I want Bilal. I think Bilal's going to win. I want Bilal to win because I believe I'm next. But it's a fight. Jack has chances. Jack is a very good boxer. He can easily go out there and win, but I would like to see Bilal win.
Did you see the two on the scale, Jack and Bilal? Did you see?
No, I didn't see any of them.
Okay.
They were in and out before I was here. I had a nice nap this morning.
But
I had to be woken up out of bed at like 7:30. I was like, oh, I missed my alarm. All right, that's good. when the night before weigh-ins, if you sleep, it's the most satisfying feeling in the world. Because there's some nights where you're kind of just tossing and turning and rolling, and then you sleep a little bit, then you wake up. Like this morning, I woke up at 4:30, looked at my clock, I was like, all right. Got back to bed and woke up and it was 7:30. I was like, all right, I'm meant to be in the sauna right now. Let's go. Woke up, turned it on, and just sat down and had some good energy with the team.
You saw the face-off yesterday at the press conference. What's your thought on that Jack tried to maybe get inside the bell a little bit?
I think Jack's acting up a little bit. I think he's getting a bit too big for his boots now at the moment, and I think it's going to be either interesting. It's going to pay off for him, and he's going to go out there and he's going to knock Bilal out, and it's going to translate into the octagon, or Bilal's going to humble him and give him a massive problem in that octagon. And realistically, I think Bilal has all the ingredients to go out there and do that.
Do you think Jack needs to be humble?
No, but I think sometimes when you get excited, you do things you don't necessarily.
Yeah.
You do things you're not meant to do, or you wouldn't normally do. You act out of character, and sometimes it takes someone like Bilal to pick you up, slam you on your head, hold you down, and go, "You shouldn't have done that." So I think, look, either Jack will knock him out early and he'll get the belt wrapped around his waist and he'll get ragdolled eventually by Islam, or he gets ragdolled tomorrow night.
Either way, you're next.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I'm ready. Either way, I'm going to be there watching. I'm going to have a good time, and I'll be fighting whenever I'm fighting, and it'll be for a belt.
Would you take another fight if Jack wins and ends up facing Islam? Like if they say we want you to fight Sean Brady and the winner's going to get a title fight.
I don't know about that. I'll think about it. I mean, you asked me to fight anyone, my answer is yes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's the way I've always approached things. I want to fight. I love to fight. It's what I'm here to do. Apparently, like, if you just wait a year and come off an injury, you can get a title shot like Jack. So maybe I'll just wait for a year and see if I get a title shot.
Yeah, just try not to get injured during that.
Yeah, exactly. Even if I did, apparently if you get an injury and you wait a year, you get a title shot. So I could do that as well. I don't know. Look, I'm a fighter. I like to fight. I'll fight anyone. I'm not afraid of anyone. I'll fight all of them. I told you, I want to get that belt and then go through the division as fast as I possibly can. There's only 10 names on the division I can fight that I haven't already fought. I want to cycle through them as fast as I possibly can.
All right, before we let you go, in the event that you're not fighting tomorrow night, what do you think is the most likely outcome? Bilal decision?
There's two ways I believe it goes. I believe Jack knocks him out early and crisp because that's when he's going to be best. Maybe start of the second round vibes. Or Bilal gets going early and just starts to wear on the gas tank of Jack and then just ends up dominating. And I think rounds 4 and 5 we could see Bilal push for the finish. But realistically, I think Bilal's a smarter fighter. He's not going to push for a finish to wear himself out. It's more important that he gets his hand raised. If the finish is there, he will take it. But I think Bilal by decision is what my brain says. And then there's a little bit inside me that's worried about that kind of bat that Jack has that just grips and rips. He's very good at the clean boxing.
All right, well, you are a future title challenger in your own right. He's Aiemann Zahabi. It's been great having you here during Fight Week in Montreal. You told me just a couple weeks ago that you'd see me here, and here we are.
Be here ready to go. I'm ready to go. Look, I'll be ready until they step into that octagon. I'll be ready. I'll have my jockstrap, my gum shield in my pocket. That's a fact. I promise you that.
All right, my man. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate
maybe we'll see you fight tomorrow night in the main event, and we'll have to see.
Maybe not. We'll see.
All right.
Catch me in 24 hours. See what's up.
All right. Thanks a lot, Ian.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. He is
Appreciate
Ian the
you guys.
Future, Machado Gary, and that's a great way for us to wrap up our UFC 315 weigh-in show. On behalf of Patrick the Predator Cote, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. And one last note before we go. A friend of mine, Jeff Rahoman, who is part of the Rogers family, sadly passed away this past week. He was a massive UFC fan, a massive fan of combat sports, and I wanted to send my condolences to his friends and family. He will be missed, and the world is a worse place without him and his enthusiasm and zest for life. I know he would have been watching on Saturday and would have enjoyed all the festivities. So thanks to everyone for tuning in. It is tomorrow night, UFC 315. You can order it on Sportsnet Plus. Presented by Skilled Trades College for Aaron Bronstetter and Patrick the Predator Cote. We will see you again soon.